it's just a personal preference. I don't think the surface will change a great deal. It's fresh, it looks really good. It's not like it's used and there's a conflict in it. Might get a lot worse later on. I think it'll stay pretty similar throughout.
We didn't do anything too bad last game, so just keep doing what we've been doing. Obviously, got to give it to England. They played really well, and it's just unfortunate we didn't win the game.
Blazing hot day out in Pal. England have won the toss and decided to bowl first once more. Owen Morgan has named an unchanged side. 2 changes for South Africa. Reza Hendricks is in for Van Biljoen and Anrik Nortje is in for Buren Hendricks. England 1-0 up in the series, and another victory will wrap that one up for them. Quinton de Kock is out there in the middle with Temba Bavuma. In commentary for us is Steve Harmison, and the first voice you will hear is that of Andrew McKenna.
Thank you very much, Butch. Welcome along for match number 2 then. The small matter of a little journey out to Boland Park, Pal, but another glorious setting, a mountain back surrounded ground, and Sam Curran has ball in hand. Had a cracking first match with best figures of 3 for 28 for England. He's going to be opening the bowling from the Swartland end, also called the Old Stables end, but he has got ball in hand, running away from the mountains. Adrian Holdstock, our umpire, has said let's play, and he comes in. There's a slip in place, bowling to the right-handed Bavuma. Bavuma solidly in behind this one, pushing it up to mid-off where Chris Jordan is stationed, and they take a single and are underway. 1 on the scoreboard after the first ball. Steve Harmison. Good first outing for Sam Curran. He'll be looking to back that one up again today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Macca. Good afternoon, everyone. That was a fantastic first 2020 international for Sam Curran. Not only did he get 3 for 28, he came out, first ball, hit 6, and said, that more or less finished the game for England. Windy day out here in Pal, and the sun is shining, very, very warm place. It is arguably one of the warmest grounds on the circuit because it is, it's in a little bowl in the in between the mountains, and when it gets hot here, it gets hot here. I remember playing a domestic game out here for Highveld Lions with no crowd, literally no crowd, because nobody watched domestic cricket. I think there was only the groundsman's dog when we first started, but it was a red hot week.
Sam Curran into the left-handed. Quinton de Kock, it's gone between bat and body and goes through. There's a little bit of shape there. Quinton de Kock was a little bit indecisive with his movements coming forward and is genuinely beaten on the inside edge as it goes through to Butler.
Yeah, you said a little bit of shape. There was a little bit of shape, but then it just decked back off the surface. And I'm not sure, I'll have to see this again, but I actually think Quinton de Kock got his studs caught in the ground, and I think that just knocked his balance a little bit. He's expecting to go a little bit further away from his outside edge. It just nipped back a touch and it went between bat and pad.
In goes Curran once again. Quinton de Kock chips it into the offside, clears the man at short extra, and it will go out for runs to the sweeper on the boundary. That is Johnny Bairstow, but that is 2 balls faced for Quinton de Kock, one of the world leading players. And he's not played either of them with a great deal of confidence, Steve Harmison.
No, he hasn't, and I just wonder if this is just sat in the pitch. We've had 2 balls now which just haven't come off the surface as much as what the South African captain has expected. It did just nip away there. We see this on our monitors in front of us, and that there tells you that there might be a little bit of tackiness in the surface, which meant there may be a little bit of sea movement.
In goes Curran to de Kock, outside portion of the bat. Rashid will field at short third man, and they're going to scamper a single. Rashid is thrown up to the far end, but the single is taken quite comfortably. 5 without loss halfway through the first over here on TalkSport 2. If you're heading out and about today, then don't forget, of course, get the app downloaded. You don't want to miss anything of this one. If the first game was anything to go by, it gives you the opportunity to swipe between TalkSport and TalkSport 2. You can get the TalkSport app from all good app providers, of course. England against South Africa, though, is where we are at the moment here on TalkSport 2. They actually ended up getting a couple on that occasion, so Quinton de Kock is back on strike. I think I said it was a single. He has taken a single from the 5th ball of the over, just dropping it into the offside. That was played with an air of confidence and certainly security. So 6 without loss. Quinton de Kock made 30 from 23 balls on Friday at Cape Town. It was 5 from 5 for his opening partner Temba Bavuma, and Bavuma will be facing the final ball of this first over. Curran coming towards the commentary boxes. Bowls. Bavuma is staying deep in the crease, opening the blade and guiding it down to third man, where a single is taken. So 7 without loss after the first over are South Africa, having been put into bat. If you missed the toss, you haven't been with us for the last half an hour, England won the toss, elected to bowl once again. England are unchanged. Roy, Butler, Milan, Bairstow, Stokes, Morgan, both Currans, Jordan, Archer and Rashid. South Africa made 2 changes. Buren Hendricks and Van Biljon are the men to miss out, as Reza Hendricks, the batsman, he's actually normally an opener, but he's probably going to be going in at around 5 or 6. He's come into the side along with Anrik Nortje. So it's Bavuma de Kock, Faf du Plessis, Van der Dussen Klassen, Reza Hendricks, George Linder, Kagiso Rabada, Anrik Nortje, Lungi Ngidi and Tabraiz Shamsi.
Looking at the surface on that first over, Macca, it just seems as though there was a little bit of sea movement. It did look as though the ball just sat in the pitch a little bit. And when you talk about the two batsmen, very different styles. Quinton de Kock is a lot taller than Temba Bavuma. Temba Bavuma wants to play off the back foot. He wants to play the ball late. He wants the ball to come to him, use the pace of the ball. He'll play early in his innings down to sort of third man, try and get it back to backward point. Quinton de Kock wants to come forward. He wants to get off here on the front foot.
2 slips in place for Jofra Archer. Temba Bavuma is up on his toes, guiding it down into the gully, and there will be a single taken from the first ball of the over.
And when you look at that sort of combination, as a bowler you've got to be right on your money, because if you get it the wrong way around, then all of a sudden you pitch the ball up to Quinton de Kock when you want to pitch your ball up to Temba Bavuma, then you get belted straight back over your head. As well, you've got to try and bowl a little bit shorter of a length to de Kock, because you want him to come forward but you don't want him to get his hands free. But then all of a sudden, if you do that the opposite way, then Bavuma can get away, because he is a really, really short guy, 5'5", 5'6", plays well short square of the wicket.
2 slips in place for Quinton de Kock. This is something that we mentioned on Friday, that they flirted with a couple of times but didn't really stick with. It is only the second ball that Jofra Archer has bowled. It's the first at Quinton de Kock, but there are still 2 grabbers waiting. He's in his Archer, it's full, round about the base of off stump, and it's pinged up to mid-on, where Tom Curran will do the fielding for no run. So England definitely attacking, Harmy.
Yeah, attacking in a good field. You could argue where you probably bunt your second slip to maybe his third, 3.5, 4th slips, because of the way Quinton de Kock plays, hangs his bat out there. But I would imagine England they'll see this pitch as maybe he's done a little bit, first few balls, they'll want to try and drag him forward.
Archer in, and he's squared up Quinton de Kock a little bit of this. It's a straightish ball that de Kock was trying to work into the leg side, but Carnton pushes back down the pitch for no run.
The Archer will be wanting to try and drag him sort of half forward, test match length, around top of off stump, outside off stump, and bring slip into play, because if there is any seed movement, de Kock comes hard at the ball. He's got hard hands, and that's where you'll bring your slip into play.
You can hear de Kock tapping his bat. He's waiting. He's swinging hard into the leg side of this one from Jofra Archer. It's the inside portion of the bat and goes down to Sam Curran at fine leg for a single. 9 without loss for South Africa here on TalkSport 2. 10 balls of the innings gone. Just to give you an idea, by the way, slightly lower par score here at Boland Park, and we're going to have to judge this on domestic cricket, because this is the first T20 international played, but the average total batting first at Boland Park is only 150. So that gives you an idea of where. And batting second is the way to go. 59 games played, 31 have been won by the side batting second, 24 batting first. So there's not much in it, but the stats would tell you bat second. Right, Sean George, the umpire's just having to do a bit of ground repair. He's now happy. And he gets himself in place, ready for Jofra Archer to come past him. He does that. It's a slower ball. Temba Bavuma is forward and solidly pushes back down the pitch, and Jofra Archer once again has started very, very tidily. 5 balls in, 2 singles is the only damage next to his name.
Yeah, South African batsmen showing what they should be, showing the respect of what Jofra Archer is, a world-class performer in one-day cricket, or white ball cricket, in 2020 cricket especially. His last shot by de Kock looks as though he's...
Archer goes in to finish the over. There's some pace on that one. Bavuma decides to bail out, not play a shot on that. It's officially registered 140 kilometres an hour. That's 87 miles an hour. And there's no run scored from it. 12 balls have been sent down. 2 overs, South Africa, 9 without loss here on TalkSport 2.
Yeah, good start by England. And when we talk about the last shot that Quinton de Kock played, he got a sort of thickish inside edge down to fine leg. No feet movement whatsoever. And again, I picked up from the first T20 international, he didn't look as though he was in sync. He didn't really, his feet and hands weren't working together. I just wonder if the pitches in South Africa are a little bit different to the ones out in the UAE, because when he played in the UAE, his movement was so good, his batting was so good, and he looked as though he was a bit like the rest of the South African side who hadn't played for a while. You know, Quinton de Kock's played a lot of cricket in the recent times, and you'd have thought he'd have come in with some decent touch.
Sam Curran for a second over starts with a short ball to Quinton de Kock. He tries to climb into that. It was round about armpit, getting up to shoulder height, doesn't time it, and ends up bunting it down to mid-on for no run.
And again, Sam, he's a bag of tricks. He's not bowled the same ball twice, which probably at his pace with the field positions, you know, the inside the circle, the fielders inside the circle, he has to mix it up a little bit. But I'd like to see him get it up there with this new ball. Look to get Quinton de Kock out.
Sam Curran coming in once again. Quinton de Kock has gone across his stumps and just flips it over Jofra Archer at short fine leg. Archer is inside the 30-metre circle. As long as he clears Jofra, it's safe all the way and will run away for 4. And that's what happened. South Africa 13 without loss.
Yeah, good shot there by Quinton de Kock. If you've got, because of the way Quinton de Kock plays, you've got to have third man and fine leg inside the circle to give you the best chance of boundary riders. Which are in the deep square of the wicket, and there, very, very good improvisation by the South African captain.
Curran goes in, and he's gone across his stumps once again, flipped this one. He might have got more of this one. He has got more of this one. It's going to go all the way for 6, landing in the seats down in front of the commentary box. And it's 4 and 6 in consecutive deliveries from Quinton de Kock. South Africa now 19 without loss.
Beauty, absolute beauty. What a shot there by the South African captain. All the way across, not quite down on one knee, but he more or less did. By the end of the shot, he was down on one knee, waited for the ball to come, got himself outside off stump. Ball would have gone over middling off, but with Jofra Archer inside the 30-yard circle, not a great deal of pace on the ball. He's just helped it on its way. 72 metres back, 6 runs for the England captain, and pressure on the young bowler from Surrey.
Yeah, as we've been mentioning, it's a big playing area at Boland Park, but the straight boundaries are quite short. It's the sides. It's like a sort of a rugby ball shape. The sides are long, but the straight boundaries are pretty short. Where's Quinton de Kock going on this occasion? He stays in line, hits it through point. It'll be Johnny Bairstow coming off of the boundary, and it is therefore a single. 20 without loss. De Kock goes to 17 from 11 balls faced. And there's 2 parts to that shot in away, Steve, because Quinton de Kock is obviously playing it because he wants to score runs, but he's also now almost saying to Owen Morgan, you're going to have to put him back there, and then you force the change in the field to where you want him to go.
Absolutely, he is moving the field where he wants it to be, but also as well, I think because there's not much pace on the ball.
As Bavuma waits, and he's going across his stumps as well. He's got down outside of off stump and flipped that through very, very fine leg, and it will go away for 4. Bavuma goes to 7. South Africa 24 without loss, and this is becoming the flip over your shoulder show.
Yeah, it just seems there was a magnet behind the wicketkeeper where the ball's going to go. So, no, it's a great shot, fantastic shot. No pace on the ball. He's had to help it on its way. And I think as well, you mentioned what you've said there about manipulating the field to get it in your position. I think what also is telling me that both batsmen aren't quite happy. The ball coming on front foot of Sam Curran, no pace on it, sitting in the pitch, and they can't really hit through the line of the ball, so they're going to have to improvise.
Well, Curran has adjusted by coming around the wicket now to Bavuma. Bavuma goes on the pull and will get it down to Rashid, who is now at fine leg, about 8 metres inside of the boundary. It will be safely hit away for a couple. 3 overs gone here on TalkSport 2. South Africa 26 without loss. Bavuma has 9. De Kock has 17. You're listening to South Africa against England on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. You can watch every test, One Day International and T20 live and exclusive on the dedicated Sky Sports cricket channel.
There's a fantastic over there for the South Africans, and a good bit of play between both batsmen, who have probably had a conversation with each other mid-over and said, you know what, if Sam Curran bowls it anywhere near a length, we are going to struggle to hit through the line of the ball because it's just sitting in the pitch a little bit. There's not much pace on the ball. All the fielders are quite straight. Boundary riders are out there at deep point and deep square leg. So we're going to have to make sure that if we can get it over to fine leg, we'll get third man off fine leg back, and then all of a sudden one of them boundary riders has to come inside the circle, and then we might be able to use our feet and go down and get to the ball. But the flip shot worked, the ramp shot worked.
Archer to start the 4th over, outside of off stump to Quentin de Kock. He's carved it through point. Jason Roy's going charging after that one and will pull it in a couple of metres inside of the boundary, down in front of the pavilion, and they will end up taking 3. So 29 without loss. De Kock goes to 20 from 12. And Bavuma back on strike.
But it also gets them in, Macca. It gets them comfortable on the wicket. It gets them some confidence with see the scoreboard, and they've got runs on the scoreboard that they can, when Archer comes on, they're not going to ramp Archer. They're going to use Archer's pace. Try and just hit the boundary rider until they can get used to Archer's pace.
Bavuma gets one outside of off stump, goes into the cover drive and gets enough of it, actually. Times it beautifully all along the floor. The back knee was almost down on the floor playing the cover drive, and Jofra Archer has started this new over 3-4. Little bit of width. It was a drive ball, and although Bavuma hit it really low on the bat, it sped away for 4.
A little bit over pitch. I didn't mind it. I don't mind it. As a bowler, I wouldn't have minded that, because I'm trying to get the ball to swing. He's pitched it right up. He's probably gone, maybe he's a foot further than he would want to. He's trying to get it to swing.
Archer is just slightly shorter of that length on this occasion. Bavuma is in behind this, pushing it out on the offside, and there is no run.
We've also got to remember he's got to slip in. He's got to slip in, and he's actually got a gully in as well. I think what I would have a gully in as well for Bavuma, for the simple fact, if I am trying to pitch it up, trying to get the ball to swing and take the ball away from the outside edge of Temba Bavuma's bat, he'll lean back. He does lean back when he goes in the drive, and when he does that, he will hit the ball in the air, sort of through that gully, third man, down towards the third man region. Slip comes out now into mid wicket. I would imagine Jofra Archer will go a little bit shorter now, to try and in towards the rib cage. I think square leg just gone behind square as well.
As Jofra Archer comes in to bowl and bowls in. Bavuma has swung across the line. He's looking to hit that one mid wicket, and it's hit middle and off. If he'd played a straight bat shot of that one, he probably wouldn't be looking around and seeing the castle dismissed. But Bavuma, 13 from 10, 33 for 1, as we welcome the TalkSport listeners. It is live coverage of the second T20 against South Africa, and that is the first wicket down. England winning the toss. Jofra Archer bowling that one. There's a little brush off the pad on the way through as Bavuma swings it away, but the first wicket goes down. England, of course, 1-0 up in this series. A win today would clinch the series. Steve Harmison, belting start.
Excellent bit of bowling there by Jofra Archer. He took slip out. He's tried to bowl away, just outside off stump, trying to take the ball away from Temba Bavuma early part of the over. He's been driven a couple of times and give away a boundary. He's gone a bit straighter, took slip out, put him into mid wicket. I thought he would have gone with a short ball. It's actually a little bit shorter in length, and it hasn't bounced as much as I thought it was going to do. It got a bottom edge off Temba Bavuma's bat. It's hit the middle stump, halfway up, and what was a good start for South Africa has just been brought back into England's favour.
Well, if you're not going to stay with us, TalkSport listeners, then make sure you get the TalkSport app downloaded, or retune your DAB radio, or get onto TalkSport.com, or simply ask your smart speaker to play TalkSport 2, because we're going to be here for the next 2 or 3 hours bringing you the cricket. And Reza Hendricks is the man walking to the middle, new into the side today, and he's now facing Jofra Archer, who's got 2 slips in place. Hendricks is in behind this one. Archer absolutely full and straight, roundabout off stump, cracking first delivery.
excellent first delivery, an excellent start by Jofra Archer. The ball he got hit for 4, didn't mind that. As a bowler, I'm trying to pitch it up, I've got to slip in, I'm trying to see if we can get it to swing. Just didn't quite swing. Actually, looking at this again, I don't think it bounced as much as Temba Bavuma thought it was going to bounce, and it's just gone underneath, well, just caught the bottom of his bat and bowled him.
Archer in short ball to Reza Hendricks, through to Jos Buttler, and there is no run. That is 4 overs completed here on TalkSport 2. South Africa 33 for 1, so they're going along at 8 1/4 an over. I mentioned Reza Hendricks into the side today. He didn't play in the T20 series back in February and March, but from his 23 games before today, 607 runs at 26.4, a best of 74, 450s, and his strike rate is 120.4. Just to give you an idea.
Mac, I like this selection because what it does is I think it gives a little bit more depth to that middle order. When we looked at what happened at Cape Town, they lost an early-ish wicket in Bavuma, then all of a sudden Du Plessis and de Kock had to rebuild, but when they came on the counter-attack, they had to wait for the counter-attack. Now, having somebody else who is a new ball player and somebody who is used to facing the new ball can maybe give himself some time to get in, a little bit like what Joe Root would do in the one-day side, or Kane Williamson does in 2020, just absorb the ball for a little bit and then give the likes of Du Plessis, Van der Dussen and Klaassen more freedom a little bit further down the line.
Well, Tom Curran is into the bowling attack for the 5th over, and he's starting right arm over. Quinton de Kock plays a very expansive looking cover drive straight to Chris Jordan at mid-off for no run. You're talking about confidence, Steve. It's an interesting one. South Africa have lost 5 of their last 6 home T20 internationals. So this is not a side that is chock full of confidence.
No, but they've played England. They've played England all time, and England are on top form. England are a fantastic side in all white ball formats.
It's a good point, and it just proves lies, damn lies, and statistics. Curran goes in, Quinton de Kock goes across his stumps and just clears Jofra Archer. That ball's not going to run away, and Jofra Archer needs to get after it. Well, it will just make its way into the boundary rope as David Malan can't get around from square leg, but it didn't clear Jofra Archer by much. He did not get the good wood of the bat on that one. That was right up on the stickers, and I'm not going to criticise Jofra Archer for very much in this world, but I thought maybe he might have chased that one.
No, I think as an aging fast bowler myself, standing inside that 30-yard circle, you know when it's going to go for 4 and you're not going to get there. And I think Jofra Archer knew that. For a laid-back character like Jofra is, I think he knew that he had no chance to get. He might have got it off Malan, feeding it back, but he was never stopping it himself.
Tom Curran in once again, swung hard into the leg side on this occasion from Quinton de Kock, and Owen Morgan has seen enough and he's dropped Jofra Archer back to the boundary.
But that's why he's the world-class opening batsman in 2020 cricket. He is Quinton de Kock. Before that ball, he's got 2 men out on this boundary. He's only allowed 2 outside the 30-yard circle because that's the power play. 1 at deep point, 1 at deep square leg. Both a third man and fine legger inside the circle. So with no pace on the ball, Quinton de Kock doesn't feel as though he can get down the crease and get out and hands hit the ball hard down the ground. He doesn't want to get himself in a position to try and hit it straight because he doesn't believe he can beat mid-on and mid-off Mike Clothit. So if he goes over fine leg, then he has to bring deep square leg in, and that's what we've seen there. Fine leg back, and he's had this big hack, and it's gone down to fine leg.
Tom Curran in once again. On this occasion, Reza Hendricks will be away. Oh, and he's away in fine style. It just looked like he was flicking it down to fine leg, but of course Johnny Bairstow being the only man out on the leg side because it was still inside the power play, he's at mid-wicket and he can't get around, and so Reza Hendricks is underway with a boundary and he goes to 4.
Yeah, nice timing. I thought it was down leg side, but it actually wasn't. It was middling off. He's took this off sort of middling off, but because the ball bounced a little bit, it was an easier shot just to ride down leg side, to clip it down leg side. Tom Curran will be disappointed with that, but left and right hand combination sometimes do that for bowlers.
Curran in, outside of off stump. Hendricks is waiting for the ball, guides it off of the back foot out to the cover sweeper, and there will be a single. He goes to 5. It's 43 for 1 ball left of the 5th over here on TalkSport 2. Tom Curran will be looking for a quire today with ball in hand today. Went 1 for 55 from his 4 on Friday at Cape Town.
He did, and just looking at this start, 4.5 overs in, 43 for 1. I think we're in for a fantastic game of cricket here, Macca. The sun is shining, and I think there's going to be runs on the board for England to chase.
Curran in. It's a slower ball dug in, and Quinton de Kock will just help it around the corner down to Jofra Archer at fine leg, and that will complete 5 overs. 44 for 1 are South Africa. Hendricks has 5 from 4. Quinton de Kock 26 from 16 balls faced. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest cricket news, then of course subscribe to the Following On podcast. Every day throughout the series we'll be bringing you exclusive interviews, post-match reaction and much more as well. You can download Following On from all of your good podcast providers. Delighted to welcome into the commentary box as Steve Harmison moves out at the England bowler Kate Cross. Kate, what have you made of what's happened so far, first 5 overs?
It's been a good start from England. I've been really pleased with how they've bowled, and I've actually really enjoyed watching de Kock bat as well. I think he's adapted his style. You know, as Steve said, he's a very powerful batter. He plays all around the ground, and he's completely readapted how he's played today to almost. Can't get my word out, Andrew. I've had a mind blank.
Not to worry, we will pause because Chris Jordan is marking his run out. He is 1 wicket behind Stuart Broad as England's all-time leading T20 international wicket taker. He's got 64, and he's going to start coming around the wicket to Quinton de Kock. It's a ball that is roundabout waist height, and Quinton de Kock has flicked it away backward of square, and Johnny Bairstow's not going to get round to cut that one off, and Jordan starts with a boundary. De Kock goes to 30 and South Africa 48 for 1.
Yeah, a bit of a loosener there from Jordan. He's just had a little bit straight and given de Kock some of the width that he wanted to get behind that, and Johnny Bairstow there at backward square leg had not much of a hope to stop that ball, so good shot from Quinton de Kock.
Yeah, it was a sort of a dug in, roll your fingers across it, and unfortunately it disappeared at probably a higher speed than it arrived. Jordan in, around the wicket. Oh, Quinton de Kock's gone straight. He's got underneath this one, and what a catch! Tom Curran takes it mid-on, and that is a huge moment. Chris Jordan goes level with Stuart Broad as England's leading T20 international wicket taker, but more importantly, Quinton de Kock is dismissed for 30, South Africa 48 for 2.
That is an outstanding catch by Tom Curran. I can't stress to you how difficult those catches are when you're running out the circle, you're backtracking, but you're almost running backwards, and he's taken that and landed pretty heavily on his bat there. I hope he's okay, but ironically that's the first time we've seen Quinton de Kock try and hit down the ground, and that's exactly what Harmison was saying earlier, that he's that type of player that adapts very quickly, and he's been playing behind square and adapting and playing all the trick shots, and that's the first time he's tried to muscle the ball down the ground, and he's come undone there. Jordan reacted to his last ball a little bit too short, gone a little bit fuller and tried to encourage the drive and got his man.
What a catch. Oh my goodness, what a catch. To give you some idea, I mean obviously there's barely a cloud in the sky, so you've got very few reference points, and it's over your head, going backwards and full extension.
They are the catches that you dread going up when you're playing. You don't want to be under those, especially when you're at mid-on, mid-off, and you know that someone like a Quinton de Kock is powerful down the ground. So I have no doubt that these lads have been practicing those types of catches in training all week, but honestly, such a difficult catch. And he's made it look kind of easy in the end.
Show off. Yeah, and it's also worth pointing out, very strong breeze comes off of the mountains as well, so you have got everything going against you as a fielder there. It's almost as if you've got a little bit of a licence if you don't get there, but he did. There's a small matter of Faf du Plessis walking out to the middle, so they might have got rid of one world-class player, but they've got another. Reza Hendricks will be on strike though. The ball was in the air long enough for the batsman to cross, and he punches to cover for his first delivery. As Hendricks punches this next ball out to cover next delivery, and there is no run. So Faf du Plessis 58 from 40 balls at Cape Town, his 9th T20 international 50, and he's actually 35 away from 1,500 in international T20s, Faf du Plessis. He's watching at the non-strikers end as Hendricks tries to work into the onside. Owen Morgan's at short mid-wickets, and there's no run on this occasion.
this is what Jordan does really well, isn't it? He comes in this is the worst over to bowl as a bowler, you know, the 6th one, you're trying to get out the power play, and he's come on, he's done exactly what his captain needed. He's taken a really big wicket, arguably a fantastic bit of fielding from Tom Curran, but they're the kind of standards that are set from this England team now, and the standards that we expect.
It's the thing about world cricket, it's almost sort of, yeah, you know, it happens all the time now, isn't it? Some of these boundary works and whatever, Jordan goes in, Hendricks punching off the back foot, Curran will field solidly at mid-off on this occasion, single taken, 49 for 2. The levels and standards of fielding in international cricket are almost incomparable to where it was 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. You can consider 11 athletes out there now, can't you? I remember a time when I was a young kid and fast bowlers would never have been taking catches like that on the boundary, and Steve's shaking his head in front of me.
Quite right. Quite right. Final ball then of the over. Final ball of the power play period. Faf du Plessis' first delivery's worked it wide of Owen Morgan. Jofra Archer will do the fielding at mid-on. The single will be taken, so that's the power play into the book. South Africa are 50 for 2 after 6 overs here on TalkSport 2.
South Africa versus England live on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Feel it all and watch every England Test, ODI and T20 live and exclusive on the dedicated Sky Sports cricket channel.
50 for 2 then, South Africa out of the power play. Temba Bavuma was the first man to go, bowled by Jofra Archer. Fuller, straighter, quicker from Archer, and that was the end of Bavuma for just 13. Quinton de Kock started to open his arms a little and find the boundary, but he was undone by Chris Jordan, who goes level with Stuart Broad. Remember him in white ball cricket as England's leading wicket taker in T20 internationals. De Kock went for 30 from 18. The score was 48 for 2 when he departed the scene, and England will be more than happy with the start. Kate Cross.
Yeah, they absolutely will. I kind of feel like it's quite finely balanced at the minute. I won't be surprised if we see a little bit of spin coming out of the power play now.
And indeed we do. Adil Rashid has the ball in hand and flicks out his first delivery, which looks as though it brushes the pad on the way down the leg side. Joss Butler collects it and has an inquiry, and a polite inquiry I should say, of umpire Adrian Holdstock, who dismisses it out of hand, and quite right too. No turn from that first ball from Rashid. I think in fact he probably flicked it out of the front of his hand, wasn't looking to impart any side spin on it. As he comes in again, wheeling through, and again it's a delivery that is meant to go straight on at Faf du Plessis, who nudges it into square leg. Tom Curran does the fielding and is a single.
Although I said finely balanced, I do feel like England have got the upper hand here. They've got 2 new batters in, they've got Rashid coming on, one of our strike bowlers. So I feel like they are in the driving seat, and if they can take another couple of wickets in this phase of the game, it's going to be really important. Yeah, pressure on Faf du Plessis, who tries to cuff that googly down the leg side. The ball was very, very wide down the leg side from Adil Rashid, but I think perhaps there was a glove on it from Reza Hendricks, sorry, not du Plessis, and they come through for a single. 52 for 2, halfway through the 7th. As Rashid is in once again, skipping through the crease. That ball turned a little, leg break, but started off too straight and was nudged around the corner for another single. Just looked like he got through that one a little bit more, looked like he had a little bit more confidence in his action. But yeah, he just a bit wayward in his first couple of balls. Yeah, just trying to get into his work with those deliveries out of the front of the hand. Perhaps that shoulder a little stiff. This one has given a bit more air, a leg break, and it's smeared down the ground. A cross-batted shot over mid-on. Had mid-on been inside the circle, just scuffed and bounced a couple of times before it was picked up by Chris Jordan at long on. And a shot of violent intent that didn't come anywhere near off the middle of the bat from Hendricks. They do say if in doubt sweep. Oh, that's what they say to me anyway. Another flighted delivery, googly this time, driven at Owen Morgan at extra cover by Faf du Plessis. That's the end of the 7th. Tidy over from Adil Rashid, 54 for 2. Looks a warm one out there. Rashid just mopping a bit of sweat from his brow as he collects his cap from Jason Roy. Skies are azure blue here at Boland Park, and England will be more than happy, I think. As we've said before, the stats say
that what was 9 out of the last 13 games played at Boland Park, which would all have been in the Mzansi Super League, have been won by the team chasing. And given that England, after their terrible start in the chase of 180 at Cape Town the other night, got home quite comfortably, they'll see anything in that same region as something they can overhaul pretty comfortably.
I feel like they're just a team that are so confident in chasing, and Morgan obviously said that at the toss. He said he's so confident and it's his personal preference to chase in 2020 cricket, but I just feel like nowadays that any total is gettable.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And here's a bit of a surprise perhaps. Ben Stokes has been thrown the ball by Owen Morgan. Didn't get a run out as a bowler in the first T20 international on Friday night, but Owen Morgan is keen to use him as his 6th option, his safety valve option. Stokes in now to Hendricks, who punches it off the back foot out towards Johnny Bairstow at the cover boundary, on the sweep on the cover boundary.
It's not bad having Stokes as your safety valve option, is it?
I don't know what you mean. I mean, that's kind of where this confidence comes from. Everywhere you look in England's dressing room, even with the players that haven't made the 11, guys that you can trust to do a terrific job. Stokes, off what looks like a slightly shorter run, is short at Duplessis, who pulls it out to Dawid Malan at deep backward square leg. Dawid Malan actually incidentally made his first class debut at this ground back in 2006, Boland Park. So grew up in South Africa, Cape Town, England's #1 T20 batsman. And Stokes is in once more. Ball is wide of off stump and is punched again by Hendricks out to Bairstow on the offside sweep, and again there's one run. 57 for 2.
I think, like you said, Butch, it goes to show the versatility and the adaptability of this team at the minute, and Morgan has got so many options out there, and you know he's got a couple of bowlers as well sat on the bench, which is a shame for the lads that are missing out, but he can judge this pitch and see who is going to be more effective on this one.
Slower ball from Stokes, and Duplessis reads it, waits and flicks it behind square on the leg side for another single. South Africa dealing in ones at the moment, none of which will hurt Morgan or England at the moment. But yeah, I agree with you. Options are there, and it's a cliche, and it's an often used one in other sports. England won without looking anywhere near their best on Friday night, able to pick up the points away from home when they're not playing at their best, and a long way from it as Stokes is in full of length, and again that ball is punched on the offside, this time by Hendricks, straight to Owen Morgan, and there's no run.
He's not doing anything too fancy here, Stokes, either. He's literally just bowling a good line and length, so I think it's going to be up to Hendricks and Duplessis to counter-attack and try and throw Stokes off his line and force him to do something different.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the big differences between these two teams is that England, having lost 3 wickets in the power play, just kept going. You know, Stokes is short at Hendricks, who attempts a pull shot and bottom edges it through to Joss Buttler behind the stumps. It's another tidy over from England. 8 gone, 58 for 2. England were able to 3 down for 30 inside the power play. Stokes and Bairstow came together and just kept playing their shots. You know, it wasn't a question of consolidating and using up deliveries, be it they were behind the rate, so they had to keep going. But you just feel at the moment with South Africa, they've lost Quentin de Kock and they've just kind of gone into their bunker a little bit, happy to take singles, happy to consolidate. And you just think to yourself, well, they're not going to end up with enough if they do this for too long.
And again, I think that a lot of that comes down to Owen Morgan and the culture that he has created in that dressing room, and it's almost a no-fear environment.
Rashid in, drags this one down. This pitch is very, very slow, and Duplessis has to watch it carefully. Pulls it with a straight bat to mid-on, and they come through for yet another single.
Bairstow is there batting at 4 to go out and get 86 off 40 odd balls. That's his job. It's not there to go at strike rate of 100. So I think that's the exciting thing about this team that we've got at the minute.
Flighted leg break, and Hendricks this time flaps it or slaps it out to Milan at deep cover, and they come back for 2.
And you almost get the impression that the modern way of playing 2020 cricket is that you've got the first 6 overs of power play, and then you almost go into your death batting. That middle phase has kind of gone out of the game.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. Rashid in again, and this time it's a googly, not red, I don't think, by Reza Hendricks. He tries in the end the last refuge of a scoundrel, which is a huge sweep if you don't read the leg break. This time, as I said, it was a googly from Rashid, and he had no clue really. Oh, Morgan thinking that one could have snuck through. Leg spinner this time to Hendricks, who can only nudge it into mid-wicket to Morgan himself at mid-wicket. Pressure is rising. You can hear it from Josh Butler behind the stumps.
But yeah, you feel like something's going to happen here. Either Hendricks is going to try and hoik one into the stands, or going to top edge one straight up into the air.
Yeah, my money's on one straight up the chimney at the moment. Rashid is in, and this time shorter. Hendricks goes for a reverse pull, I suppose, and has played it really, really well, to be fair to him. It's run all the way down to the third man boundary for 4, and that will make him feel a little bit better. Still striking below 100 in terms of his strike rate, 16 from 17, but a boundary to break up the monotony of dots, 1s and 2s for South Africa.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think he didn't look all that convincing playing that shot. He's almost played it as a stood-up sweep, and I think that's to give himself time to watch the ball spin.
Flighted bowled, absolutely neck and crop. Adil Rashid has had Reza Hendricks on toast. This time it was the leg break, a little bit quicker. It completely deceived Hendricks in the flight. He went for the sweep again, not reading the variations of Adil Rashid, and it has hit the top of his off stump. South Africa have lost their third, 65 for 3.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there, Butch. You're just almost guessing, seeing which way Rashid is going to turn the ball, but just to me shows a lack of confidence in him there. He's not used his feet. All he's done is tried to play from the crease. He's tried to sweep. The reverse sweep did come off. Like I said, it didn't look too convincing, and he's been bowled the next ball. So disappointing innings, but you are facing Rashid, one of the best leg spin bowlers in the world. So hats off to Rashid. I thought he's bowled well there. He's kept it simple, but 65 for 3. England will be very happy at this stage of the game.
Will they ever? They're not the only ones to be happy. Adil Rashid is high-fiving and fist-bumping everybody in sight, because he has just taken his 50th wicket in T20 internationals, his 51st cap. Didn't quite manage the 50 in 50 double at Cape Town, but he will be mighty pleased with the first 2 overs here. They've showed control, they've showed maturity. I think just watching him go about his first couple of deliveries, I remember from my days at playing against the great Shane Warne, as good a bowler as Shane was, he wouldn't attempt to come out and rip his first 2 or 3 deliveries hard leg spinners or anything fancy. More often than not, he'd have the ball come out of the front of his hand just to make sure that he wasn't giving away any wides, no freebies to hit. And then as he got looser and got into his work, he'd attempt to spin the ball a little bit harder, and that's exactly what Adil Rashid does nowadays. Ben Stokes is in to Faf du Plessis, who again, that slow pitch, is able to sort of stand back and shovel the ball with a straight bat almost, top of off stump, over mid-wicket for 4. Score is now 69 for 3, and that's a fabulous shot of a man who's full of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Stokes just almost going wobble ball there with that to see if he can get a bit of purchase off the pitch, but not to be. But like I said, he's just bowling that simple line and length, and I think du Plessis has recognised that, and it's just been able to free his arms and hit to that vacant cow corner area.
Yep, Faf du Plessis with the pink grip, bright yellow shoes matching the yellow top, just nudges that into the offside to rotate the strike, bringing on to strike Van der Dussen for his first delivery of the contest. Actually might not be a bad thing. Rassie Van der Dussen is very, very talented ball striker. I think whereby Reza Hendricks found himself getting bogged down, Van der Dussen will certainly be a little bit more expansive and perhaps play the spin of Rashid a little bit more positively than the man he's just replaced. Stokes in once more, here brushed back as Van der Dussen is away immediately. Really nice crisp little punch glide behind point, and he'll pick up a couple.
Going back to Rashid, and you're saying about Warne and how he used to start and almost gained confidence as he's come onto ball. I think that again goes back to the kind of culture that this England team has, and that no fear environment where Rashid is able to come on and he's backed by his teammates to come on and try and rip the ball as soon as he gets in there and try and take wickets. And
short ball from Stokes, and Van der Dussen ducks underneath it. It was towards the leg stump, but you just heard probably through the radio Ben Stokes exclaiming, "Wide, are you short?" of Sean George. He's not happy. The head is being shaken, and but no point arguing with the umpire. Ben, time to go back and bowl another one. 3 men inside the circle on the offside, third man sweeper with the 2 men back there. Van der Dussen tries once more the same trick of running it past point. It's left hand for a single, but this time it is fielded and there is no run.
We're seeing a lot of slower balls here, a lot of just fiddling with the fingers, almost just trying to get a little bit of something out of the pitch. It's obviously a little bit slower than the players were expecting. I know Morgan said it was a fresh pitch, but it just looks like there's not much pace in it, so you can see the bowlers trying their best to try and create something.
Yeah, length and cutters seem to be the name of the game, and Stokes does exactly that once more. Van der Dussen plays a sort of almost a sweep shot off a quick bowler as that ball stands up, nudges it into the leg side, and picks up another 2. 75 for 3 now. 1 ball left of the 10th over.
Have you ever played here?
No, I played golf up the road.
How did that go?
Well, second time was all right. Yeah, Sir Geoffrey Boycott got us on at his golf club out there in Pal back in the tour in January. Ben Stokes with a slower ball to finish his second. South Africa's 10th, and at the halfway point in the first innings of this second T20 international here on TalkSport 2, South Africa are 75 for 3. England winning yet another toss. It doesn't seem to make any difference who captains South Africa at the moment, whether it's Faf du Plessis in test matches or Quentin de Kock in the white ball stuff. Don't seem to be able to win a toss at all. So when you look through England's bowling figure, Sam Curran once again given the job of taking the new ball. None for 24 from 2 from him. Jofra Archer was superb. 1 from 9 from 2 overs for him. 8 dot balls. Tom Curran, who kept his place after being expensive on Friday night. There's none for 11 from 1 over. And Chris Jordan is the other wicket taker. That's brilliant from Rashid. It's also superb from Buttler, and I think Faf du Plessis is out-stumped. Oh, it looked so easy. Beautifully arcing leg break from Adil Rashid. Faf du Plessis groped forward, and as he did so must have lifted his right foot. Jos Buttler collected it, had the bails off in a flash, and that is the end of Faf du Plessis. That was brilliant from Rashid and Buttler.
Who you mentioned Shane Warne a little bit earlier. It was straight out of the Shane Warne book. It glided towards the sort of off stump, just a little bit of purchase there towards past the outside edge, taken by Jos Buttler, and Faf du Plessis was just a little bit off balanced, and the former South African captain has to go. A great bit of bowling by Rashid, and a fantastic position England are in now.
It was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, it was so good, so simple, that you almost felt as though nothing had happened. Du Plessis just pushed forward a leg break, and you describe it perfectly. The ball did arc out of Rashid's hand, sort of started off on a line outside of off stump, started to just drift in towards middle stump. Du Plessis came forward, was beaten on the outside by the turn, and the heel lifted, and Jos Buttler did the rest, and that is a huge blow for the Proteas. Heinrich Klaasen is the new man at the crease. As Rashid is into him, another delivery which drifts beautifully on the breeze towards leg stump and then bites and turns away. Is pushed into the offside and there's no run.
Something you don't normally see by Rashid in 2020 cricket. He doesn't bowl many big booming tries to spin and leg spin it. He tends to bowl the straight one, the googly.
Another one, another drifter. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. He's going almost exclusively with the leg breaks here at the moment. Perhaps he just fancies the direction that breeze is coming from almost square of the wicket from Rashid's left, and it's just pushing the ball in towards the right-handers, and then he's getting a bit of turn away from them. And again, it's another leg break. Clarkson tries to whip it into the leg side, leading edges it to Owen Morgan at extra cover. It was a risky looking stroke, and it ricochets off the England captain, and they take a single. Clarkson will keep the strike, and it's a successful over for England, and everything seems to have gone into slow motion, including the ticker tape that I'm watching, because that's not the over. There's a couple of deliveries left as Rashid is in to Van der Dussen, and again it's a leg break, again it's hard spun, and again it comes off the outside half of the bat to Sam Curran, this time at short third man. Run.
I just wonder, Butch, with them bowling the leg spinners, it seems to be very difficult to hit the ball down the ground, and I think because he's turning the ball away from the batsman, it's a good ploy from Rashid here.
Van der Dussen inside one that is a little straighter, a little bit more leg side. He tucks it into the leg side. He will keep the strike. 77 for 4, 11 gone, and England in control in Pal.
I think to elaborate on that point a little bit more, it seems very, very difficult for these batsmen to hit the ball down the ground because the pitch is so slow and it's sitting in a little bit. England are changing their pace up very, very well. They've bowled a decent length, but the confidence in the South African batsmen to actually hit through the line of the ball to go down the ground doesn't seem to be an option. It seems to be, we're going to let the ball come to us, we improvise by sweeping, we're going to use the pace of the ball that's coming on and hit the ball square of the wicket. And I think Rashid, using his experience, 50-odd 2020 internationals, because he's bowling leg spin to the right-hander, which is taking the ball away from the outside edge of the right-hander, which means you've got to look to try and hit with a spin, which is hit to walk down the ground or hit it onto the offside. And I think because they're not confident enough in doing that, fantastic ploy there by Adil Rashid, and it seems to be the same for the seam bowlers as well.
Jordan replaces Stokes, and his first ball is crashed by Van der Dussen at Morgan at extra cover, and there's no run. I mean, the interesting thing is that looking at what South Africa have to come now, Van der Dussen and Klaassen, the last two recognised batsmen really. George Linder has a reputation as an all-rounder, but is predominantly left-arm spinner. He's in next, and then it's the bowlers, Nortje, Rabada, Ngidi, Shamsi. As Jordan is in once more, wide of the crease, and Van der Dussen again hits Owen Morgan, this time off the front foot at extra cover, and there's no run.
And because there's no pace in it, Van der Dussen's coming forward, he's going hard at it, hard hands. Owen Morgan is very straight there at extra cover, very straight. Mid-on and mid-off are very, very straight. And England are squeezing very, very well. Bowling straight, good length, not giving too much width away. And it seems on this wicket, square of the wicket is where the scoring options are.
Jordan in once again, the blue sleeve on his right arm. Sam Curran runs in from fine leg to do the fielding. He also has a blue sleeve protecting that elbow, but on his left. 78 for 4, halfway through the 12th over. I mean, one thing we haven't seen from any of the South African batsmen, whether it's against spin or pace, has been using their feet. The pitch this slow, you would imagine that the batsmen would be trying to advance and catch the ball on the half volley, but we haven't seen that at all. They've all been pretty much crease bound, which perhaps is something that they will look at in the aftermath of this game. Again, Van der Dussen, Klaassen, is crease bound and can only chop the ball at Owen Morgan just to his left, and they pick up a single. 79 for 4.
You'd say though, Butch, a lot of the South African batsmen are very mechanical. They're very mechanical, what you would call bowling machine batsmen that stand there, face the bowling machine indoors and just stand there and use their hands, try and hit through the line of the ball. That's probably why this wicket's not suiting. So they're not comfortable and not accustomed to going down the wicket and using their feet. They're not as flexible as probably what the England batsmen are.
Jordan in again, was a little wider this time, angling the ball in towards the hip of Van der Dussen, who just turns it in an orthodox fashion down to Sam Curran at fine leg. South Africa into the 80s now with one ball left of the 12th. Run rate now is what, 6.76, and they seem to have stalled. You don't blame them, because as I've said before, there isn't a massive amount to come in the way of recognised batting after Van der Dussen and Henrik Klaasen. So they have to chisel out whatever they can as Jordan is short and pulled behind square on the leg side. David Milan picks up and they scamper back for a second, but England very comfortable at the moment. 82 for 4. Steve Harmison is with me, and just see Moeen Ali sat there in the dugout. Can't get a game for England at the moment, and if England continue to have this sort of control over the South Africans, we might not see him. Although I suppose with 17 games after this one between now and the World Cup, if England were to win the series 2-0, do you think they might change things up for Tuesday?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they win this game. That you'd see Wood, you'd definitely see Moeen Ali, and I think you'd probably see Reece Topley as well. It wouldn't surprise me if we see big Reece Topley have a game in this format. I think they might keep Sam Billings for, because Sam Billings is likely to play in the ODI format, which is going to come next week. Sam Billings had a fantastic summer in England, and he rightly keeps his place in that middle order at the one-day 50 over side. So it wouldn't surprise me if Mark Wood gets a run out, Moeen Ali, but I'm getting ahead of ourselves a little bit.
Rashid again in exercising that leg break to Van der Dussen this time, who leading edges it down towards mid-on for a single. You're listening to our coverage of England versus South Africa here on TalkSport 2. If you're out and about, the best way to make sure you don't miss anything at all is by downloading the free TalkSport app. It gives you the opportunity to swipe between both TalkSport and TalkSport 2, and you can download the app from all good providers. Steve Harmison here with myself, Mark Butcher. Leg break. Sorry, in fact I think that was a googly from Adil Rashid. It was given air, and Henrik Klaasen picked it better than I did as he drove it down to long off for a single. Rashid in once more. Big leggy, bit of confusion. If there's a direct hit at the bowler's end, Van der Dussen may have been in trouble, but he managed to get himself unintentionally between the ball and the stumps, and it ricocheted off him, and the ball was collected for the loss of just a single.
I think what we're seeing here, Butch, is guys who have, in South African side, who've played a lot of domestic 2020.
Googly again. This time again picked by Klaasen, who drives it at Jason Roy at extra cover.
Who haven't played a lot against somebody as good as Adil Rashid, a world-class spinner who can spin the ball both ways, and I think because of the way their movements are, they can become unstuck that way.
Down the leg side, Josh Butler doesn't gather it in, and that'll be wides. 4 of them. Jofra Archer gives it up halfway, and oh, hang on, it's been given runs. No, wides.
I didn't know what he was doing.
He didn't know what he was doing then.
Like the hokey cokey, wasn't it? He wasn't sure what was going on there. Well, he's going to put his left foot in and left foot out there. It was bizarre. But no, a little bit spoiling Adil Rashid's figures. Josh Butler will be disappointed he didn't stop that.
Klaasen drives to long off, and it's another single. 91 for 4 now. Messi Van der Dussen has something of the Alex Stewart's about the way that he twiddles the bat in his hands as he waits for Rashid to come in, and Rashid again almost defeats him outside on the outside edge with a leg break. Thick contact made with the outside edge of the bat, and Van der Dussen will keep the strike. 92 for 4, sorry, from 13. Run rate is just snuck above 7. And South Africa trying as best they can to rebuild things here. Rebuilding up in the commentary box will be Andrew McKenna.
So here we go. Final stages of the innings. What can South Africa end up posting? Going at just over 7s at the moment. Van der Dussen 10 from 13. Klaassen 6 from 8. After Bavuma, De Kock, Hendricks and Du Plessis all dismissed. De Kock the only one of those to have got to 20. Game on. England will be absolutely delighted with the way it's gone so far, and Tom Curran is back into the bowling for his second over. His first cost him 11. Owen Morgan is just making sure that Ben Stokes is in exactly the right place. To the right-handed Van der Dussen. 3 in the ring on the offside, 1 on the onside as Curran goes away from the commentary boxes and bowls. Van der Dussen's in behind this, and it is Ben Stokes, the man who is inside the circle on the leg side, who does the fielding. It is just a single, 93 for 4.
Yeah, a special mention there for Adil Rashid. The way little Delhi's bowled so far. Well, so far he's finished his 4 overs, 23. He'd be disappointed though 4 wides in that last over, but fantastic performance by somebody who's played a lot of T20 cricket. His 50th 2020 wicket.
Curran in, right arm over. Klaassen's clipping this through square leg. It will be a single as David Milan is the sweeper and gathers and returns it 94 for 4. And
looking at it, Makara still, even though England have got South Africa or where they want them, they've got them on toast, I still believe that we're a better unit with another spinner in this side. Another bowl, a spin bowling option. I think England will be a better side with a second spinner in Moeen Ali in it.
Curran, right arm over, dug that one in, and it gets up quite high on Van der Dussen, but he's able to keep it down, and it's out to Milan once again at deep square leg. Single taken, 3 balls, 3 singles, 95 for 4. So yeah, Adil Rashid is bowled out already, 2 for 23 from his 4. We've already seen a difference in approach from England today in the fact that Ben Stokes took the ball. They only used 5 bowlers, the minimum requirement, but Ben Stokes has been involved today. His 2 overs have cost 14. And he's watching Curran go in. Right arm over the wicket, flipped into the onside by Klaassen, and Ben Stokes takes the catch. Klaassen in some ways has been unfortunate because he's picked the only man inside the circle on the leg side, but in another way it is far, far from fortunate because he's just pinged it straight to Stokes, and Klaassen walks off, hitting his bat on the ground. He can't believe what he's done. He's picked the sole man there, and it's another wicket down. 5 down for South Africa, and England are all over South Africa in this second T20 international.
Fantastic bit of bowling by Tom Curran. He's hit the pitch with the first couple of balls of his new spell. That one there, the class in the batsman will see the ball coming at him, seam up. The ball's come out the back of his hand. The seam is perfectly upright, coming towards him. The ball's obviously a slower ball. It's bounced a little bit. Klaassen's already through the shot, and he's just picked out Ben Stokes, who Owen Morgan was trying to get in the right position before the over. Well, he certainly did. Pick the only man out on the leg side. Again, the wicket maker is just sitting in. It's a wicket where if you can't adapt or can't wait for the ball to come to you and you haven't got flexibility, then I think you'll struggle on this surface. And I look at this South African batting lineup and I see a lot of stiff robots in the South African unit. Robots, and what I mean by that is people who are mechanical or will stand there and just try and hit through the line of the ball, and this surface does not suit them. And as we can see, it's 95 for 5 and England are well in the pound seats.
Brings George Linder to the crease. He made 12 from the 6 balls that he faced at the end of the South African innings in Cape Town, and he is about to take guard, and we're taking guard with TalkSport because you've joined us once again for our live coverage of this second T20. South Africa 95 for 5 and in deep trouble. Curran goes around the wicket. Tom Curran to the left-handed Linder. He's underway straight away, flipping it down to fine leg and collects a couple. 97 for 5. Quinton de Kock, Bavuma, Hendricks, Du Plessis and Klaassen all dismissed. Van der Dussen is there, 12 from 15 deliveries. Linder is the new man on strike with 2 from his first delivery, but England are all over South Africa. Remember, win this game, it's win the series as far as England are concerned. Curran goes in, slower ball. Linder inside portion of the bat, doesn't time it, and it trickles back down the pitch. And that's 14 overs gone, so there's only 6 to go. South Africa 97 for 5. Make sure you don't miss a moment of this action by downloading the free TalkSport app, retuning your DAB digital radio just in case, or of course you can just listen on talksport.com or get your smart speaker to play TalkSport 2 and you'll hear Steve Harmison.
A brilliant over there by Tom Curran. Just tell you what it is, Mac, that's a huge over for Tom Curran to get his confidence back. He's gone for 55 in the first game, talking about how difficult it is to get in this side and stay in this side, and always having pressure on to perform. He'll have been going into this game thinking, you know what, I need a good game. His first over's gone for 11. He's thinking, I need a good over, and he's got it. Fantastic over there. 5 runs off it, got a wicket. How quickly this game can change in the space of 6 balls.
Well, I think we're now seeing why the average score batting first on this ground in domestic T20 is only 150, because if this is how it is, it's not the easiest, but to be perfectly honest, South Africa have been done by a far, far superior bowling attack here, aren't they?
Yeah, and a special bowling attack, and a bowling attack who are on top of the game. You talk about how many games England have won in recent times and how well they perform. To get a feel from the fact that this is a very good England side.
Jofra Archer back into the attack. He's going to start with a full and straight one to Rassie van der Dussen, who punches down to long on where Curran will field. So a change of ends for Archer. He started at the commentary box end, now coming in from the far end, the Swartland end with the Nederburg Mountains in the background. Means the breeze will be assisting an away swinger for Jofra Archer. To a right-hander, that is, but he's now got a left-hander, so might just assist a little bit of shape back into the left-handed Linder. England have put a slip in. There's a slip in place. A point, cover, mid-off and mid-on inside the circle. Fine leg and third man both deep as Archer goes around the wicket, takes Linder on the pad. Looks like it's probably heading down leg side with the natural shape. Adrian Holstock, the umpire, not interested there.
Yeah, natural angle is to go down leg side, and it was seen consistently throughout this innings. A team who are on top of their game, bowling unit who are used to playing international cricket against players who have struggled with the surface to adapt, who have struggled with the class of the opposition, and that's why South Africa find themselves 98 for 5.
Archer around the wicket to Linder, inside edge onto pad, will trickle out on the offside. Owen Morgan plays a little bit of football and gathers the ball. Single is taken. Linder goes to 3, and it's 99 on the board for South Africa.
Just seen a bit of on our pictures. I can't understand what Ben Stokes was going at and laughing at and waving at, but I think it was Josh Butler's hat's just gone flying behind him. Shows you how windy it is here at Paarl.
Archer on the way once again to Van der Dussen. Waits bat raised. He's timed that one actually, and it's punched out to the cover sweeper Milan, but he's only found the fielder straight away, so it is just a single. The 100 is up for South Africa. It's taken them a while to get there. They're 100 for 5, 14 overs and 4 balls to get there. And just to give you a comparison, the 100 in the first game at Cape Town came up 12 overs and 2 balls when there were only 2 wickets down. That day they didn't make enough runs. Archer around the wickets has dropped it in. Linder has turned it on the onside, and that is another single to his total. He's 4 from 5, and there hasn't been a boundary for 28 deliveries now. We're playing T20 cricket, folks. You don't often say that.
No, you don't, but I think it just shows you the class of, mentioned before, the ability of England bowlers against the South African batsmen who probably haven't played in this sort of environment for too long.
Archer to complete the over. Shorter ball. Van der Dussen goes on the pull. Will find Johnny Bairstow out on the square leg boundary. So it's just a single to complete the over. South Africa, after 15 of their 20 overs, are 102 for 5 on TalkSport and TalkSport 2.
South Africa versus England live on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Feel it all and watch every England Test, ODI and T20 live and exclusive on the dedicated Sky Sports cricket channel.
5 overs to go, therefore, for South Africa. What can they get in terms of a total? What can they get in terms of a total that would frighten England? The answer is probably not a great deal with the England batting lineup, but you have to say today, I don't think they're going to get there. I mean, 10 and over obviously is another 50. That's 152. 12 and over only gets you to 162. Well, England chased down 183 the other day, quite easily.
Yeah, different surface, Macca, but when you look at it, I still think England would have adapted a lot better than what South Africa have.
Chris Jordan into Van der Dussen. He's punching up to mid-on. It's quite a long chase there for Jofra Archer to get to the ball, so it will be a comfortable second. Not the greatest of returns to Chris Jordan, who gives him a little bit of a glare, but only a little bit. And it is only 104 for 5. Till I say Kate Cross is back with us, joining myself and Harmy in the commentary position. Well, the last time you were with us, England were in a great position. Now they're in a wonderful position.
Absolutely, yeah, they've bowled really well today. They've adapted really well to the pitch, and like Harmy said, the South African batters just haven't. They've just not looked like they've tried to do anything different. They've just kind of stuck to the guns, and it's not worked for them, and that's why they're in this position at the minute.
Yeah, very rigidly to plan A. Jordan in. Van der Dussen has tried to cut this into the offside. Underside of the bat, dribbles out to Jason Roy, and it will be a single. Van der Dussen goes to 18 from 20. It's 105 for 5.
It'll be interesting to see how South Africa come out and bowl on this pitch now, because they've obviously got the opportunity to learn from how England have bowled on it, and we've not seen many pace on deliveries. Been a lot of bowling into the pitch, slow to try and get batters to hit square. So I know it's really cliche to say, but until England have batted and South Africa have bowled, it's quite difficult to judge how good or bad this pitch actually is.
I bet I'm Rick Nork here is thinking, oh, thanks very much, lad. Yeah, you picked me for this one.
Yeah, but I think to go with that, I think not so much suits South Africa, but it'll suit South Africa's situation, because they're going to have to come out and take wickets. So the pace on the ball, they're going to have a couple of slips in and think, well, if we don't get 3-4 wickets in a power play, it's game over.
Linda, the left-hander, is waiting. Jordan will go around the wicket to him. That is full, roundabout leg stump. Linda, I think, has got an outside edge. He's aiming at mid-wicket and it ends up at cover, but it's straight to the fielder and there is no run. One of those that you end up hitting it 180 degrees from where you're actually aiming it. What am I looking at you?
I was very good at that.
Suggest that. Yeah.
I used to have every shot in the book, Macca. I did. I had the whole repertoire, but everything seemed to go to third man. I scored a lot of runs at third man, so I didn't get caught slip. I scored a lot of runs at third man. I remember facing Mackay and Teeny at Cape Town when I'd had a few. I must admit, the night before we had a few. We had no chance of winning the game, and I got 42 by hitting everything to third man.
Jordan in. That's a nice looking shot from Linda, leaning into a cover drive. Milan will do the fielding, just a single, as Linda goes to 5. South Africa 106 for 5.
But it was one of them games where I think we were 8 down, needing another 500 or whatever, no chance of winning. I think I was actually top score. It was the first time a number 11 was top score. I walked out to bat, and I think after about 6 balls I just managed to sober myself up. I started swinging from everywhere, and it kept flying off to third man. I managed to get 42, Barmy Army singing, and we had a good time after that.
This man was the #1 bowler in the world at one point. You realise that? Chris Jordan down the leg side. He's going to have to bowl that one again. That's short and wide, and that will be called a wide. 107 for 5. By the way, you can stay up to date with all the latest cricket news and everything else to do with this tour, and more stories of Steve Harmison's drinking by subscribing to the Following On podcast. Every day throughout the series, we bring you exclusive interviews, post-match reaction, and plenty more. Just subscribe to Following On from all good podcast providers.
That was the problem in that series. I was #1 bowler in the world at that time. I think I averaged 79 with a ball and about 60 with a bat.
Jordan in. That's a slower ball. Van der Dussen is in behind it. It seemed to grip a little bit in the surface. Van der Dussen wasn't beaten by it, and he pushes it back down to the bowler, and there's no run.
I think it's really important for these two batters to recognise that England are bowling well, but they're going to have to try and get ones and twos when they're not scoring boundaries. And at the minute, it just feels almost like dot ball boundary, and I feel like they just need to try and keep that score ticking over, try and get up to 7s and 8s, and then go there afterward.
Final ball of the 16th. Jordan goes in outside of off stump. Van der Dussen hits this one hard through cover, but it's straight to Johnny Bairstow sweeping on the boundary. So that is the over complete for 6. 5 off of the bat plus the wide. 108 for 5. Are South Africa. 16 overs gone here on TalkSport 2, so 4 more overs, and the run rate is dropping. They're now only 6 3/4.
Yeah, they're digging a hole for themselves here, and like Kurt said, it's either boundary or dot ball. They're not using probably what England would be doing, their experience in the middle. Butch alluded to it earlier when England were 3 down in the power play, just after the power play at Cape Town. Bairstow and Stokes kept coming at the ball, but actually they turned the strike over. If they weren't hitting boundaries, they rotated the strike, ran hard, hit the ball into gaps and ran hard and got themselves a partnership that way. And I think that's the difference between a side who are on top of their game in a fantastic one-day side or a 2020 side, as opposed to a side who are trying to find their way and players trying to find their way inside the international game.
Jofra Archer for his final over. He's got 1 for 14 so far. He starts great line round just about outside off stump. Van der Dussen will guide it down to third man for a single. He gets himself to 20 from 23 deliveries. 109 for 5 are South Africa. Van der Dussen becomes only the second South African batsman in the innings to get to 20. Therein lies your problem, folks. Everyone swaps over for the left-handed Linder. And Archer is on his way once again. Coming in past the umpire Holdstock. Linder gets one round about waist high, turns it onto the leg side. Chris Jordan again, as is the field set by Owen Morgan, is the only man on the leg side, so has to go from mid-on to mid-wicket inside the circle. Collects, returns to Jos Buttler, single taken. 110 for 5, 2 balls into the 17th over.
Here's one for you, Mark. Kate, would you change England's batting order to go? It just looked as though the hardness of the ball, first 7-8 overs, is the best time to bat. Would you then get rid of Milan at 3 and go Stokes and Bairstow at 3 and 4?
Archer in. Outside edge of Van der Dussen's bat, thick outside edge. It'll go down to the fielder at third man for just a single. 111 for 5.
Personally, I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't change the top 2 because I want Roy to get some confidence. I think this could be a good option for him to get out there and score some runs. But he's your number 1 T20 batter in the world at the minute, Milan. So I would keep him in.
It wouldn't ring full of confidence within the looking from outside into the team, would it? If you were suddenly moving the number 1 T20 player in the world down the order, it might look a bit odd. I mean, there might be perfectly good reasons for it. Archer in, that's an absolute beauty. Very full, and it's I reckon that's actually pitched inside the crease. Linder's dropped the bat on it, squeezed it out on the offside, was looking for a single just to try and get himself up to the other end as much as anything else. That is an absolute beauty.
Jofra Archer's face here is an absolute picture. He thinks he's done him all ends up. He thinks that's through and it's gone. He's waiting for the death rattle of the stumps. But the reason why I mention that is it just seems as though Milan's there as a safety blanket to get, if we lose a wicket in the first 2 or 3 overs, for somebody to bat around.
Archer round the wicket. Linder is in behind this, pushing out to point. There's no run on this occasion, and Archer has 1 delivery left of his allocated spell.
And in the way the wicket is and the way the first innings has gone, it seems as though as the ball gets older, the harder it is to hit, and you want your run around man to be possibly in and around the 10th, 11th, 12th over, as opposed to wasting balls at the top. So you can go all guns blazing, see if we can get off to this ridiculously fast start, try and get a 10 and over start for the first 6, first 7, and put a huge hole in the total.
Archer for the final time. It's a short ball. Linda ducks underneath this and allows it throw through to the keeper. And Jofra Archer was about to walk to Adrian Holdstock and say, "Thank you very much, sir. It's been a pleasure working with you for this afternoon." But he's turned around and stopped dead in his tracks, because Adrian Holdstock has held out his arms and said that is a wide. And I turn in the commentary box and look to the two bowlers alongside me, and neither of them look overly impressed with that decision.
I said this the other day, and I got a glare off Mr. Butcher. It's a batsman's game, isn't it, Kurt?
It absolutely is. And they're changing all the rules even further to make it more of a batsman's game.
As Goffey would say, make the stumps bigger.
Right, so Archer's now got 1 for 18 with that wide. Still decent figures, still a great return for the captain. So here he goes for the final time once again. It's outside of off stump. Linda tries to carve it through point. It is brilliantly fielded there by Jason Royce. So Jofra Archer will finish with 1 for 18 from his 4 overs. 17 overs are in the book, and South Africa are only 112 for 5. Kate Cross, the England bowler. This is just a stunning performance from England. They're giving themselves the great chance of winning this series.
Yeah, definitely. And this is when Owen Morgan tosses the coin and he wins the toss and he bowls first. This is exactly what he wants his bowlers to do, and there'll be a very happy team going in at half time. Obviously there's still a couple of overs left that they're going to have to, finish off and bowl well, but it just doesn't look like South Africa are even trying to do anything, and they just don't look like they've got the intent there at the minute. They just look like they're trying to survive, which in 2020 cricket you just can't do. You've got to kind of go all guns blazing, and at this point just try your best, get up to that 150 mark and make a game of it.
Well, it's almost as if someone needs to... There's 18 balls left of this innings, chaps. You need to do something. You've got to roll the dice.
Yeah, absolutely, and it just seems as though they don't know how to roll that dice because of how well England have performed. I think that's the key point, Macca. That's how well England have performed. I don't think it's anything to do with South Africa not wanting to score any faster. I don't even think it's the point where they think, well, do you know what, we haven't got many batsmen left in the hutch. I just think England adaptability on this wicket has been ridiculously good for England. I think that's the best thing about it.
Tom Curran in for his 3rd over. Bowls to Van der Dussen, turns on the onside. Sam Curran will do the fielding coming off of the boundary. And there is just a single. Van der Dussen is still less than a run a ball, 22 from 25. But I suppose from the other point of view, you can't score runs if you're in the pavilion, so at least he's still there, 113 for 5.
I think what I'd say, Kate, is the way England have adapted to this situation and the wicket and the size of the field and everything has probably been the best about England's performance. Not the way they've executed or bowled, but actually the way they've thought about this wicket.
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well, and I feel like the way that Van der Dussen and Linda are batting here, it almost feels like they're trying to protect their tail. They don't want them to come in and bat, but I mean, I've been in this situation, I'm sure you've been in this situation, Steve, where sometimes the tailenders just go in and hope for the best, and they're the ones that clear the ropes because they've got nothing to lose. So I just feel like there's something missing, a bit of impotence, a bit of something, but I don't know what it is from the South Africans. Probably confidence.
Curran is going to go around the wicket to the left-handed Linda, 3 in the circle on the offside, and he starts with a back of the hand outside of off stump, and it's just outside of the guide mark, and because he's bowling right arm round, that is going to be called wide, so we will go back and do it again, 114 for 5.
I just worry here about Tom Curran, the way he's bowled that first ball, that he is going to go to a plan which he thinks, oh, this is my plan, but actually what's been working for him he needs to stick to. He hasn't got to think, right, it's death, I've got to go wide. He's got to stick to what he's been doing. That's been serving him well for the 2 overs. That's got England into this position, which is taking pace off the ball and bowling into the pitch.
Curran goes in once again. It's Fuller. It's a low full toss. We're fielded by Chris Jordan at mid-off, and a single will be scampered. Linda will go to 7. It's 115 for 5.
I completely agree with that as well. And if you look at his field, he's almost got a straighter field set now, where we've seen how many runs scored down third man or fine leg, and that long on and long off almost are redundant in this game at the minute with the way that England are executing that plan. So I completely agree with Stephen there that he's almost gone to his, right, I'm bowling the 18th over, this is the plan I must have, it's wide Yorkers, this is the field I have, and maybe that's a bit of inexperience for him.
4 in the offside circle for Van der Dussen. No one inside the circle on the leg side, and he's got to push this one out there. And England are bowling to a field, and Van der Dussen is batting to a field at the moment. He just pushes it in for a single. Van der Dussen goes to 23, he's 116 for 5.
We had this the other night with South Africa. When South Africa got a ball which had a little scuff mark on, and they decided, right, because we think it's going to reverse swing, we're now going to try and pitch it up and bowl and see if we can get the ball to reverse swing. And it cost them the game. It cost them 35 runs in about 4 overs, and it cost them the game because you couldn't hit the ball straight down the ground. You couldn't get the ball away with a big expansive shot. All of a sudden, the ball full, bowled straight. Johnny Bairstow has managed to get 30 odd, and the game changed and the game over.
Curran around the wicket to Linder. It's outside of off stump. Little bit of room there, and Linder will throw his hands through this one, and it will be a boundary 4. Sam Curran can't get around, and Linder will go into double figures. South Africa hit the dizzy heights of 120. They're 120 for 5. 4 balls into the 18th over.
I'd be absolutely spewing if my brother didn't put a dive in for me on the boundary out there. What's he doing? There's definitely going to be some words out there, but again, this is what we were just talking about. He's gone to that plan, he's not executed there, and it's gone for 4, and just a tiny little bit of pressure there gets released for South Africa, and suddenly Linder knows that he can hit boundaries, and his confidence is going to grow. So this could be a dangerous 10 balls for England.
2 to go in the over. Curran, right arm around the wicket. Oh, he's gone for a slower ball. It's sat up in the pitch. Linder has given this the treatment and sent it the distance and puts it over mid-wicket for 6. 4 and 6 in consecutive deliveries. 126 for 5. And Linder has hit that probably as clean as any ball we've seen hit all innings so far. 126 for 5.
Yeah, he's picked the slower ball. It was in the slot, but he's picked it, and he's absolutely belted it. I would go as far as to say, Macca, that's the first time in 17.5 overs I've seen a ball timed properly. I really have. I don't think there's been too much of the ball being timed properly, but Linder timed that. It was in his arc, left-hander, ball going from outside off stump on towards half stump, middling off, round about waist high, and he's managed to get his arms free into the arc, into the swinging arc, and it's gone a long way back. It's not a very big boundary square here, but I tell you what, no matter where that was in the world, that was 6.
Curran to finish his spell. To complete the over, should I say. Goes full, round about the crease line, a little bit wider, squeezed out on the offside. It is a single to complete the over. 18 overs gone, 127 for 5. Well, they went 51 balls without a boundary and then hit 4-6 in consecutive deliveries. Well, at least they're getting some impetus into the innings now. South Africa therefore have 12 balls of their innings to go, and they are 127 for 5. The not out men. Van der Dussen has 23, Linder has 18. What are we thinking? Where are England looking now for these last 2 overs then, Kate Cross?
I think they've just got to stick to the plan that's worked for them for the last, bar that last over, the 17 overs prior to that. So I think they just need to not go they don't overcomplicate things. I think Tom Curran probably felt like he had a bit of a point to prove I've got all these skills, I want to try and prove that I've got them, but he just didn't need to do that. He needed to keep it simple, because that is what's worked throughout this innings.
Well, England will fancy chasing down whatever South Africa can set them. They would therefore take this series. The third game is on Tuesday afternoon, back at Newlands. 4 o'clock first ball for that one. Then we've got a couple of days before we start the 50 over matches. Friday is the first of those at Newlands, 11 a.m. UK time for that. Sunday again is an 8 o'clock start, so set your alarms if you're planning you can't plan a big night out in the UK at the moment, of course, can you? So 8 a.m. first ball for the Sunday game, and then Wednesday 11 a.m. to finish off the series for the 50 overs. Every ball exclusively on TalkSport 2. Chris Jordan for his final over goes in, that is full and straight. Linder will squeeze it past the man at points. Jason Roy couldn't get down on that one, and it will run all the way to the boundary because third man Adil Rashid was inside the circle, and there is another 4. 1-3-1 for 5. Linder has 22.
Like what we've been saying, England have changed their plan to go. It's as if it's right, we're bowling it to death, so we've got to stick to the death plan. Actually, you haven't. You've done so well on getting yourself in a position to see what this surface is. You adapted very, very well. in and around the power play, bowled fantastically well since, and then all of a sudden it seems last 3 overs we've got to go to death, we've got to go full, and what's it done? It's starting to leak a few runs and leak boundaries that if you can get anywhere near 150, you've got a chance here, South Africa.
Jordan around the wicket to Linder. Oh, that's a full toss. Round about waist high as well. He's clipped it down to mid-on. They will come back for a second. Van der Dussen hurries. Jordan takes off the bails, but with no excitement whatsoever. So for about the first time in cricketing history in about the last 3 years, I don't think we'll go to the third umpire for that one.
A great bit of running from these two there. That's what we were talking about earlier. If you're not hitting the boundaries, make sure you're pushing the fielders hard, putting them under pressure, because that's something that England haven't seen a lot of in this innings. They've not been put under much pressure.
Van der Dussen did get the dive out, but made his ground pretty comfortably in the end, beating out Tom Curran's throw. And Van der Dussen will brush himself down out the non-striker's end. Watching Linder. Linder now has 24. Quinton Got made 30 earlier, the top scorer in the innings. Full roundabout leg stump, outside leg stump actually. Linder is able to turn on this one and just roll his wrist, turn it down to fine leg for a couple. 6 from 2 balls becomes 8 from 3 balls, 135 for 5.
What we're also seeing, Macca, is a change in momentum and a momentum shift that I think it was about 108 for 5. South Africa looked down and out. We were expecting South Africa to get 125, 130 and just peter out. All of a sudden England have changed their plan. Ball's gone to the boundary a couple of times, and now there's a little bit of urgency with the South African running, and the South African momentum's moving forward, and if they can get a score, that transforms into the power play for when England come out to bat.
Well, last 5 overs they've now started, the run rate is 8 and over. Linder gets this from Jordan, full straight roundabout off stump, and just drops the bat on it. Owen Morgan will get the ball from Jason Roy in the covers. Single taken, 136 for 5. So yeah, in the last 5 overs, 40 runs, 1 wicket at 8 and over, and they've not been anywhere near 8 and over throughout the rest of the innings.
They've also not had to take any risks to score those shots and to score those boundaries. It's just been almost loose balls from the England team, and maybe that's a little bit of, you know, undercooked. Not a lot of cricket this year, trying to finish out games, but going into the 50 over side of this series, you're gonna need to be making sure that those skills are lasting a little bit longer than just 18 overs.
Chris Jordan is just wanting a field that moved, and Owen Morgan is taking himself off to the boundary. The skipper doesn't often find himself patrolling out there, but he is there. Jordan with a couple of deliveries left of his 4 overs. 3 inside the circle on the offside, point extra cover mid-off, short fine leg inside the circle on the leg side. It's a full toss outside of off stump, and it's been whacked straight to Tom Curran at mid-off, so a single. You can hear the spikes on the pitch through the stump mics as the players make their way up and down. Just a single though. 137 for 5. 8 from the over. No, it's not. It's 10 from the over so far. I thought that was optimistic, trying to add that up on the fly. 4-2-2, single. Let's do it the easy way.
You get socks and shoes on, Macca. Yeah, half a chance. You can also hear, Macca, the wind is getting up.
Definitely.
The wind is getting up.
Final ball then from Jordan. It's another full toss as he comes around the wicket to the left-hander. Oh, it's been misfield, and then Tom Curran it's Ben Stokes has slipped over at mid-off, and they're allowed to come back for another, but it might be a brilliant run-out. What do they always say? Don't run on a misfield.
They didn't run on one misfield there. They ran 2 on a misfield because Stokes, he looked as though he wasn't interested. Head was down. He thought, what have I done here? Got his strop on. Then all of a sudden, somebody shouts, Stokesy. They managed to try and run again, and then all of a sudden it looks as though he's going to be a yard out. Stokesy's throwing the ball back. Good throw back towards the England bowler, Chris Jordan, and it looks as though he's miles out.
Well, we're getting the replay now. Chris Jordan takes the ball, and he's a foot out of the ground. Linder, as he comes sliding in baseball style. Chris Jordan does it nonchalantly as you like, and, well, We haven't seen much of Ben Stokes in the field in these 2 games. I suppose he has to. I think he's contractually obliged to do something spectacular, and there you go. Welcome to the game.
It's not often you see him in the ring as well. I think that might have been what surprised him there, is that he's actually in the 30-yard circle. He's normally out patrolling the boundary at some point and taking some specky catches, but yeah, just an average bit of cricket there all round, to be honest. Poor bit of fielding and then a poor bit of running to follow. The only good thing was how Chris Jordan collected the ball and really calmly took the bails off.
Well, he took the ball, he tried to pick the ball up like me, and then he turned into Ben Stokes. So he's gone from Steve Armisen in the ring, standing there at the end of a one-day game where normally a fast bowler would stand, and he fielded it like a fast bowler because he let it go straight through him. Ball bounced just on him, let a ball go through him, got a teapot on, slipped, got his head down, thinking, oh, what have I done? Let them off the hook a little bit, and then turned into Ben Stokes, thrown it, bounced up, just about bail height. And all Chris Jordan has to do is take the ball, momentum with the ball going into the stumps, and George Lindor has to go for 29. South Africa 139 for 6 at the end of the 19th over, and they'll believe one big over here, and there might just be a little bit of a game on.
Well, I'll tell you what, England will be pleased to get shot of Lindor. He's played a decent little innings there. It's a good rate. I mean, Van der Dussen is still there, 24, but it's taken him 27 deliveries. Lindor's 29, coming off only 20. Kagiso Rabada is the new man to the crease, joining Van der Dussen. So, South Africa will hope that these two will see out these 6 deliveries. Rabada can swing and swing hard. They're going to need it. Van der Dussen doesn't feel like he's played a shot in anger for a while. Generally speaking, he's just been pushing it around and taking 1s and 2s. But he is on strike. And Curran will start. Tom Curran? No, sorry, they managed to end up at the other end, didn't they? So it is Rabada on strike. He's clipped it straight up in the air. Oh, and it lands just short of Jofra Archer. Oh, and the throw back in, and Tom Curran has got a bit going on, as if to say, Jofra, could we not have a little bit more of an effort at catching that one? It goes down as a single, 140 for 6. But, well, there's an inquest happening on the field at the moment. You can hear a long-range conversation or two.
Yeah, there's a lot of suspect body language out there. Josh Butler was the most displeased, I think, and it could have been Tom Curran's wicket. But yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there. It just looked like Jordan didn't quite commit to the. It would have been a full length dive in front of him. It would have been a top catch if he'd have got to it. But he just looked like he pulled out at the last minute and almost didn't fancy it. And to be fair, it could have cost him a new set of teeth. So can we blame him?
Yeah. Well, it's only a single. Tom Curran will bowl to Van der Dussen, the right-hander. Oh, he's got a full toss thigh high that was drifting down the leg side, and he's missed it. It's gone clattering into his thigh pad and has rolled back down the pitch for nothing. That, wind assisted, could have easily been disappearing over the pavilion at square leg.
Yeah, that was in the slot to hit for 6. It was perfect. It was just dipped on him last minute. He actually got a toe end on the bat, but going back to the catch, I just wonder, Tom Curran, he cursed a little bit, and I think that's down to frustration of the way the last few overs have gone for England.
Curran then to Van der Dussen. That's a good 18 inches or so down the leg side, but as Van der Dussen's given himself some room, he then has to squeeze it out to the mid-wicket sweeper, and it's only a single. 1-4-1 for 6. The left-handed Rabada back on strike for the 4th ball of this over.
I think what Steve said there is absolutely spot on, because I think sometimes when you've got teams 100 and odd for 6 or so going into the last couple of overs, you can switch off. It's quite easy to do that, and you just can't afford to do that, especially in men's cricket when anyone can hit a long ball. So yeah, I think that frustration did come out, and it just feels a bit kind of kamikaze these last couple of overs. It feels like England were in so much control, and that's kind of just disappeared.
Rabada waits for Curran around the wicket. That is on the guideline outside of off stump, but the umpire very happy with that one. So single dot. The over has gone. 1-4-1 for 6. 2 balls of the innings to go. Of course, it's always worth remembering that those marks are only guidelines. It's not an automatic. If it's inside, it's good. It's outside, it's a wise.
Yeah, and you've also got to factor in that the batsman moves as well before the ball bowled. So, good bowling there by Tom Curran. Watching the batsman, Kagiso Rabada, tried to advance down the crease. Gone leg side first movement, so Tom's gone touch wider and he's bowled a fantastic ball. Got to finish it off though.
Fifth ball, Curran around the wicket. He's out there again. Toe of the bat from Kagiso Rabada, but he's cleared the man inside the circle at cover, and Chris Jordan tries the backhand field and can't complete it at wide mid-off. The batsmen don't actually realise it's gone for 4. They're still scurrying because the ball has hit the sponge and has bounced back a bit, but it has gone away for 4. 1-4-5 for 6.
Yeah, I'm not, Kate said before, disappointed in his brother not having a dive on this. I think he'd be disappointed. Chris Jordan will be disappointed in the fielding here. Prides himself on being a fantastic fielder, and he could have a little bit more possibly gone with a dive, but he's gone to try and stop it one-handed, and it's just gone for 4. And it's small margins when you're talking about the wicket slowing up. If England don't get off to a good start, this could be not a bad score in the game situation. So boundaries are huge here for South Africa.
Final ball of the innings. Rabada is on strike to Tom Curran. It's in the slot. He's had a big swing across the line. It will go through to the wicketkeeper, Jos Buttler, and the batsman will run a bye. So South Africa will post 146 for 6 from their 20 overs. The par score, or the average score, should I say, in games played at Boland Park is 150. This is the first T20 international game played at Boland Park though, so these are domestic numbers that we're having to use. But what that total tells you is it's round about the average at this ground. 146 for 6 though won't frighten England, but, and we've just been talking about this, Kate, it might be 10, 15 more than England would have been thinking a few overs ago, just from the fact that they went into that sort of death mode that maybe they didn't need to, and they just got, by their own very high standards, sloppy at the end.
Yeah, I think you can see the body language of the players walking off. They do just look a little bit disheartened in a way, because I think you're right, they probably leaked 20 runs there at the end, and I think Linder was the difference for them. Steve mentioned earlier about him, he just came in and gave them a bit of a momentum shift, which is exactly what they needed at the back end of the innings there. But like you said, I think that it won't be a score that scares England, but I think they're going to have to be careful about how they bat.
I also think, Maka, when you look at it, I think a lot of that 10-15 runs, Kate, is down to England's own doing. I actually think England's change up last 3.5 overs, they went to the death bowling, and it wasn't the right time to go there. You don't go for the full and wide ones. Don't give a chance to the batsman to get his hands free. You've been bowling very, very well, taking the pace off, bowling it into the pitch. You're very struggling to get it away, and all of a sudden there's a momentum shift. And if Kagiso Rabada and Enrique Nokia come out like they did in the IPL and show how good new ball bowlers they are in 2020 cricket, all of a sudden if England can't get off to that explosive start, 147 could be a decent total to have on the board.
Yeah, I think as well, our bowlers became a little bit predictable at the end there. When
Absolutely.
Curran bowling his wide Yorkers, Rabada came out, he's not a top order batter, he steps across to off stump and he hits one nicely over extra cover for 4 quite easily. So I think it was almost a game of 17 overs, absolutely brilliant and spot on from England, but then the last 3, they just, whether they were trying to execute some skills as practice, I'm not sure, but yeah, they just kind of let themselves down at the back end there.
So let's take you through the scorecard. England winning the toss and putting South Africa in for the second time in this series. Quentin de Kock making 30, Bavuma 13, Hendricks 16, Faf du Plessis 11, Van der Dussen was 25 not out from 29 deliveries, Klaassen 7, Linder made 29 from 20, with KG Rabada 5 not out from 4 balls faced. The bowling figures, Sam Curran 0 for 24 from 2, Jofra Archer 1 for 18 from 4, Tom Curran 1 for 37 from 4, Chris Jordan 1 for 29 from 4, Adil Rashid 2 for 23 from 4, and we saw 2 overs from Ben Stokes today, which we didn't see in Cape Town on Friday. His 2 overs cost him 14. So look, we're only splitting hairs because we expect very high standards from England's point of view. Now, the interesting thing, I suppose, Kate, is the start of the England batting innings. And we saw what happened with George Linder on Friday evening. Left arm spin to Jason Roy. You have to assume that they're going to go exactly the same way again. Jason Roy, just from a personal level, as much as anything else, forget the team almost for 6 or 7 deliveries, Jason Roy is going to want to get off to a good start.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's exactly what South Africa will be saying in the dressing room at the minute. Quinton de Kock as captain will be saying they've got Jason Roy under pressure immediately without him facing a ball, because he knows against left arm spin he's struggling. Personally, he's struggling. He's not had a score in, I think, about 9 innings now. So that's exactly what they'll be saying. You've got Nokia and Rabada going out there, two of the quickest bowlers in the world at the minute. If they can nick a few of the England top order out, then suddenly you've got Bairstow and Morgan coming in, and they're going to have to put some performances in.
It's worth mentioning that I mentioned it earlier on that England played 2 50-over warm-up games back in February, March time ahead of the white ball games on that tour. And on the Saturday, Jason Roy made, from memory, I think it was about 80 odd, and on the Sunday, Johnny Bairstow made 100. So if there is such a thing as having a ground that you like to go to, both of those scored runs in that game. Obviously, the opposition wasn't as high quality as this, but at least they've had. It's not complete step into the unknown, stepping out at Boland Park in the very first T20 international.
Yeah, and we know how superstitious cricketers can be sometimes. So, yeah, Jason Roy will have a little bit of confidence there. But, I mean, you've got Bairstow coming in on the back of that match-winning innings on the Friday. And to be honest, I don't think that's the best I've seen Bairstow bat either. He just kind of muscled his way to a score at some points. But that's the class that he shows, that he is able to score runs even if he is not at his best. So, I mean, he came off a disappointing IPL as well, didn't he? He was dropped halfway through that season. So, yeah, I think I know it's really easy for us to say here, sat in the commentary box, but I'd like to see that South Africa come out with a bit of fight. They've scraped to 147. It's not a top score, but they've got something to go at here. So they've just got to put pressure on England early. A couple of wickets in the power play, and it could be game on.
So 146 for 6. England need the snooker maximum, 147 for victory, that would not only win this game but would also take the series 2-0 with 1 to play. The second innings coming up very shortly here on TalkSport 2.
South Africa versus England live on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Feel it all and watch every England Test, ODI and T20 live and exclusive on the dedicated Sky Sports cricket channel.
As Jofra Archer comes in to bowl and bowls in! Bavuma has swung across the line. He's looking to hit that one mid-wicket, and it's hit middle and off. Jordan in, around the wicket. Oh, Quinton de Kock's gone straight. And what a catch! Tom Curran takes it mid-on.
That is an outstanding catch by Tom Curran.
Flighted bowled, absolutely neck and crop. Adil Rashid has had Reza Hendricks on toast. The other wicket taker, that's brilliant from Rashid. It's also superb from Butler, and I think Faf du Plessis is out-stumped. Oh, it looked so easy.
Great bit of bowling by Rashid, and a fantastic position England are in now.
Curran go in. Right arm over the wicket, flipped into the onside by Klassen, and Ben Stokes takes the catch. And England are all over South Africa in this second T20 international.
Fantastic bit of bowling by Tom Curran.
Linder has given this the treatment and sends it the distance and puts it over mid-wicket for 6.
I would go as far to say, Macca, that's the first time in 17.5 overs I've seen a ball timed properly.
Final ball of the innings. Rabada is on strike to Tom Curran. It's in the slot. He's had a big swing across the line. It will go through to the wicketkeeper, Jos Buttler, and the batsman will run a bye. So South Africa will post 146 for 6.
Managed 146 for 6 in what was a very low-key innings from South Africa. Asked to bat first by Owen Morgan on what looks to be a pretty slow service. At one point went 51 deliveries without a boundary. They made 34 in the last 3 overs, which perhaps might be a little disappointing to the England bowlers charged with bowling at the death, Tom Curran and Chris Jordan. However, Morgan and the rest of England's fielding effort was pretty spot on throughout, adapting well to conditions. Red hot day in Paarl, and South Africa without really much to speak of in terms of batting quality. Quinton de Kock once again top scorer for his team, 30 from 18 deliveries for the left-handed captain of South Africa. Next best was another left-hander, George Linder, whose growing reputation, 29 from 20, was given yet another boost at the back end of the innings. Rassie van der Dussen finished up with 25 from 27. But England will need 147 to win the match and take this T20 international series. And you wouldn't bet against them doing so. It has been a bit of a struggle at times in terms of... certainly in terms of timing the ball for the batsman, but also in terms of a watch. The surface perhaps not as you would like it for a T20 international. Sluggish, offered a little bit of turn, and none of the South African batsmen managed to really show any sort of fluency whatsoever. Adil Rashid went past 50 wickets in T20 internationals in his 51st game. 2 for 23 for the England leg spinner. He bowled quite magnificently. Jofra Archer was also in very fine form as well. 1 for 18 for the England speedster. Ben Stokes had a couple of overs. He and Sam Curran shared the fifth bowler's role as Owen Morgan sort of shifted his cards around a little bit. But all in all, I think England will be more than happy with the position they find themselves at the halfway point here in Paarl. It is a beautiful day here underneath the Nederburg Mountains, and England, having played a couple of warm-up matches here at Boland Park, this is indeed the first international T20 international we played at this ground, will feel slightly familiar in their surroundings, and I suppose, Kate Cross, that the one man who is perhaps sweating a tiny little bit, albeit that he has 350s in his last 6 T20 international innings, will be Jason Roy, and we expect to see him come up against the left arm spin of George Linder once again in this innings.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's a world-class player, isn't he? I think that's something we forget when we look at stats sometimes, that he'll have had a training session, maybe a hit before the game today. He'll be very aware that this left arm spin thing is becoming something that's creeping into his game. So he's not daft. He'll have plans. It's just how he can come out and execute them. And I feel like he's the kind of batter that when he's full of confidence, he is unstoppable. You can't bowl at him. But at the minute he's just a little bit low on that, and that's sometimes how the good players become the great players and how they overcome those phases of their careers. Yeah,
and I suppose in his favour is the fact that England, whilst they won't want to sort of put pressure on themselves in the power play in the opening 6 overs of the innings, aren't under an enormous amount of pressure to come out and make 60 off the first 6 overs, being that they're only chasing 147, and knowing just how much depth they have in the batting lineup, with sort of the likes of Sam Curran, Tom Curran, Chris Jordan, Jofra Archer coming in 7, 8, 9 and 10.
That's the beauty that Jason Roy and Jos Buttler have at the top of the order, is they've got such depth within that batting lineup that if Jason Roy does fail, it almost doesn't matter. They're still guaranteed to get 180 in majority of their innings. So I think you're absolutely right there, Butch. And sometimes I do wonder though, if when you're chasing a lower score, and I say 145, I'm treating that as a low score here. Sometimes that does play with the batsman's mind about how they go about it and what kind of tempo they start with. So I feel like Jos Buttler is the kind of player who bats one way, and it comes off majority of the time, and sometimes it sometimes doesn't. But I wonder if that might play in Jason Roy's mind now. He doesn't have an option now. He does have an option. It's not like he's chasing 200 and he has to go out and try and hit everything for 6.
You've seen this England team in white ball cricket a lot, Steve Harmis, and even though in the old days you might say, well, we're only chasing 7 and over, there's no need to go berserk, I think they only really play one way, and the depth means that they are able to go out there and try and shoot down this target as fast as they possibly can.
When I look at this England side, what I'd say over that for this instance is that this surface seems to be better early when the ball's coming onto the bat. So while the ball's hard, I think England want to put a big dent in it and a big hole in it. What I would expect is maybe Jos Buttler to take a little bit more time to get in, because he seems to 147. He'll believe if he's there 12, 14, 15 overs in, game's gone. He's in a match-winning position. Jason Roy, I don't think can play that way. I just think Jason knows only one way, which is foot on the floor, hit the ball as hard and as far as I can. The thing that worries me a little bit with Jason Roy on this sort of surface is he likes to hit the ball hard down the ground, a little bit like Quentin de Kock. And I think we've seen Quentin de Kock had to improvise and hit the ball. He swept both Currans very, very well, and it's not in his natural game. So it'll be interesting to see how Jason not only gets over the left arm option when he first comes in, but also how he goes about trying to hit the ball down the ground, because that seems to be his big shots. Hit the ball straight or hit the ball straight over extra cover, and he hits them very, very hard.
You are currently listening to South Africa versus England on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Watch every England Test, One Day International and T20 live and exclusive on the dedicated Sky Sports Cricket channel. We're not far away from the restart here in a beautiful part of the world, just 45 minutes northeast of Cape Town. Boland Park being used for the first time in T20 international cricket, and I suppose they can be forgiven for serving up a surface that hasn't perhaps served us up the sort of entertainment that we might have wanted from a ball flying to all parts point of view. But given that I'm joined by two international bowlers, I suppose they don't mind really. You guys don't mind having a bit of assistance with the ball from time to time?
No, I prefer pitches like this in 2020 cricket because
I bet you do.
As a spectator, sorry, I mean I prefer watching this because it makes players think. Yeah, I mean I can't think who the batter was, but it might have been Bavuma early on. He looked like he was playing on an absolute road the way he was batting. He was leaning back and treating it like it was a really good pitch, and the players around him, the players that did well, were the ones that had to be innovative and work hard for their runs, and that's what I think I like to see in 2020 cricket. It's when it's easy and it's a road, and bowlers could just take for granted the fact that they can just get hit for boundaries, and that's almost a given. But this is more of a contest. It makes people show their skills. Well,
let's hope so from cricket's point of view, that we get a close finish here. England, along with Joss Buttler and Jason Roy, will be hoping to make this a quick kill and an early 2-0 unassailable lead in this T20 international series. It is Jason Roy, who in 37 matches has 860 runs, a strike rate of 147. The average, I suppose, is something that he would like to see go up above 23.8, but I think averages are quite often overstated in the T20 game. It's the strike rate really that you're looking for. And as we suspected, it will be the left arm spin of George Linder, the South African all-rounder, to open things up from the old stables end. Once again, it is left arm spin to open the bowling. We have a slip in play, 3 men in the covers, long off and deep mid wicket of the two fielders outside of the circles. Linder is in once more to Roy. Roy on the cut shot again. That's how he was dismissed in the first T20 international. Bottom edge through to Quentin de Kock on that occasion, and that was perilously close to finishing up with the same outcome. Roy just steely looks down the pitch at Linder, who gets this one wrong. It drifts down the leg side. De Kock gathers it nicely, and umpire Holdstock holds out his arms to signal a wide, and England's first run of the innings. So close to being the end of Jason Roy again, as Linder is in once more. It's down the leg side by way of perhaps inside edge or perhaps pad. Lungi Ngidi chases, and England come back for two. It's been signalled leg byes. You reckon that George Linder reminds you of another international cricketer as a left arm spinner, Kate?
Yeah, I see a lot of Mitch Santner in him. I think it's just the way he gets up and over. He's very tall. He gets kind of up and over his left foot, right foot.
Big pivot, not much of a run up. Roy goes outside leg stump and plays an ugly hack. Comes off the inside edge of his bat between himself, or between the bat and his legs, and somehow ends up at short, fine leg.
I held my breath for that. Oh, he's just cleared his front leg and tried to hit that out of the park, and it just wasn't there. Slow pitch like we've seen in the first innings.
And then again, Roy sweeps hard, and that flashes away to the backward square leg boundary for 4. Absolutely tagged that. He gets a fist bump from Josh Butler. Jason Roy's away in the series.
I always think being a top order batter like I am, that often when you are out of nick as a batter, it's more how you play bad bowling rather than how you play good bowling. I think everyone's defence kind of stays there, but that just showed that, I mean, bad ball that's been punished there by Jason Roy, so that could just be something that gets him back into some scoring runs.
Roy this time allows the ball to drift in towards his pad and tucks it into square leg. There's no run.
I want you to explain what I'm trying to say there, because I know you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. You can't. I mean, that's part of losing your rhythm, is you find yourself not being able to punish deliveries that you would normally hit for 4. I know exactly what you mean. Linder is in again, a little bit slower, and Roy advances and tucks this through mid-wicket quite confidently. It's the first batsman we've really seen use his feet on this slow surface throughout the T20 international so far. 1 over gone, England 8 without loss.
Yeah, and I think Jason Roy will get down to the other end there and just breathe a sigh of relief that he's got through that first over. And I think what I was trying to get at, that first ball that we saw come off the pads and they got 2 leg byes for, he didn't look like he tried to play a shot to it. It was almost like he was surprised that there was a bad ball, and then as soon as he got on that sweep shot, he looked like almost like the Jason Roy that we're so used to seeing and dominating out there. So I'm sure he'll just be able to relax a little bit now that he's got through that first over.
Just looking at England's batting list, Roy, Butler, Malan, Bairstow, all of the top 4 strike at above 140 runs per 100 balls. Jason Roy being the best at 146, Malan at 144, Bairstow 140, Josh Butler 140. In fact, the worst out of England's top 6 is Ben Stokes, funnily enough, at 134. And that's not exactly signalling a man who slouches around at the crease. Kagiso Rabada is going to open the bowling with George Linder. Silky smooth into the crease. That's down the leg side. There's a strangled appeal for a catch behind, but it has come off the pad of Jason Roy. Jason Roy perhaps happier to be seeing Rabada run into him with pace on the ball than Linder at the other end.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's going to appreciate this a little bit more. That was given out by both our commentators in the box up here, incorrectly, might I add. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Rabada goes here. We'll see if we see any change ups and him rolling his fingers down the ball like you saw Stokes, Curran, Archer doing actually in the power play as well.
Rabada is in. And that ball nips back on Jason Roy, who calls Butler through, or Butler calls Roy through, and they scamper through for a single. It was off the inside edge of the bat, and again, one of the things with Jason Roy when he's in great nick is that the bat swing comes down and he manages to make contact with the ball sort of alongside his front bat. When he's out of nick, those hands get a long way in front of himself as he sort of feels for the ball. He's trying to get the middle of the bat on everything.
Yeah, and I think Josh Butler's probably done him a little bit of a favour there, scampering through for that single and got him off strike. But you could see Rabada was just almost mimicking with his hand as he walked back that kind of wobble seam delivery. Yeah, it just nipped off the seam and came back in. They're the ones that you just pray don't hit your thigh pad.
Well, a little pitch slightly quicker, it might well have nipped through and hit Jason Roy's leg stump. I think he'll take thigh pad at the moment as Rabada is in to Butler, who flips this uppishly, not off the middle of the bat. It would have been taken if there'd been a mid-wicket in play. As it was, mid-wicket was back on the fence, and Rabada concedes a single to Josh Butler, who's off the mark.
I'm a bit disappointed with the way that South Africa have started this innings, to be honest. I think, the target's 147. They need to take wickets, like we said in that first innings, and they've not got a slip in play. You've got one of the world's best T20 bowlers bowling at the minute.
In goes Rabada. Thick leading edge as Roy tries to turn it into the leg side. It balloons out on the offside into the covers off that leading, almost off the back of the bat. And again, Jason Roy sort of losing control of his bat swing. The hands are getting a long way out in front. He's too early on the ball, and that could have been his undoing again there. Tough times this for England's opener.
Yeah, it was a slow ball as well from Rabada, so like I said just before, you are seeing those change-ups coming early, but
Roy just lets this one come in, and oh goodness me, it's looking absolutely harem-scarum out there at the moment from England. Temba Bavuma, had he hit direct from cover point, would have sent Josh Butler on his way, no doubt about it.
I feel like I've probably contradicted myself a little bit there, because I said how successful England were with bowling the pace off deliveries. That looked like another slow ball from Rabada, but I just feel like you've got one opportunity with a new ball to get it swinging, get your slips in, try and nick Jason Roy and Josh Butler off.
Pull shot from Butler, that's over the head of backward square leg. It's going to run away for 4. Again, it was half a chance for South Africa. Extraordinary start, 15 without loss from 2 overs. England well on their way, but none of it has been convincing from either Butler or Roy. Butler should have been run out by 2 metres in the previous delivery, but England are, 15 without loss.
Just look like they're not trusting the pitch, are they? They're not trusting their shots. That was almost half a shot from Butler there. He's kind of just shoveled it over square leg's head and managed to get it away for 4, but yeah, it doesn't look convincing.
No, plenty of encouragement from for South Africa. Perhaps a little bit more belief, a bit more boldness from them might see them take an opportunity from 2 England batsmen who are struggling a little bit to come to terms with conditions here at Boland Park. Glorious sights in the distance here of the Nederberg Mountains, and surrounded by vineyards here at Paarl, as Henrik Nortje gets his first bowl of the series. It's in swinger, full toss, and it's hit Jason Roy in front of the stumps as he walks across, and the umpire's finger has gone up. Umpire Holdstock has given Jason Roy out. Roy is shaking his head. I'm pretty sure he's going to go upstairs here for a review. And my first feeling was it swung, and I think it might have gone past leg stump. Yep, Jason Roy has signalled that we're going to go upstairs to third umpire Palika. What did you think, Kate?
I think it will be umpire's call. I think it would just been clipping, but I think that delivery and that dismissal probably sums up the first 12 balls that we've seen in this innings, doesn't
Shambolic.
it? Yeah, just a bit kamikaze again. It kind of has followed on from the last 3 overs of the first innings. But it also looked like it really hurt Jason Roy. I think that one did miss the thigh pad, and he almost got the dead leg run down to the other end trying to get off strike.
Just going to hear DRS. Jason Roy, I think it's missing leg stump. I reckon it's hit Jason Roy. You can imagine here, yeah, it's funny enough, the only batsman in commentary thinks it's not out. The 2 bowlers have given it. But Jason Roy, as he's walked across, the ball has missed his front pad, and as the back leg, the right leg, flicks out behind him, I think it's hit him on his back heel, and I reckon that's missing leg stump by about 3 or 4 inches.
I think he might have hit it as well.
Well, it's not got a lot going for it then, has it?
No, it's not.
Missing the stumps. Review retained. Get on with the game. I think it's missing by about 6.5 inches. That. So not a great decision from umpire Holdstock. Jason Roy, who cut it fine, it has to be said, in terms of asking the third umpire to take a look upstairs. I think you've got 15 seconds, haven't you, before the umpire say no, you've had your lot. Almost missed out on the chance to review it. He'll be mighty pleased that he didn't.
I think he obviously just really wasn't expecting that full toss first ball from Nokia, but that just shows that he's come back from the IPL, probably not had much cricket under his belt either, and a little bit rusty, having not played in that first T20 on Friday.
And it was quick, and it swung in to the right-hander as Nokia is in once more, and Roy drives. Nokia picks it up in his follow-through, and again there's no run.
It's probably the most convincing bit of cricket I've seen so far in this first innings.
It's been absolutely bizarre. We've had the ball flying off the back of bats, balls ballooning in the air in the infield and not finding fielders. Jason Roy has also copped a rather nasty blow on the inside of his right ankle from the delivery that he was given out erroneously, LBW. As Roy faces up to Nortje again. It's another full toss. It's another thick outside edge as Roy aims it through mid-on, and it goes off the outside edge to cover. and England scamper through for a single. This has not been an advert for high quality cricket so far.
Not yet, no. I'm hoping all the nerves settle soon and we get going. But yeah, perfect. We're just watching the replay here of that LBW shot. You can see Jason Roy, he's come down the track, but you can see his body weight is going over towards the offside straight away, which, perfect example of a batter being out of nick and their balance being kind of all over the place. He's almost creating more problems for himself by not trying to hit the ball down the ground, which we know is one of his big strengths.
Nokia to Butler now, who with that punchy style of his, the bottom hand in control, punches it to mid-off, doesn't come off the middle of the bat once more, and it's fielded by Duplessis at mid-off. He flings it into Quentin de Kock, keeper, and there's no run.
Yeah, Jason Roy still limping around a little bit on that right foot that hit the inside of the ankle, which I'm absolutely no doubt will be very sore for a couple of days. Might have been almost his Achilles right at the back, just on the top. But the good news is he didn't make a meal out of it.
Nokia is in a short to Josh Butler, who pulls and has been taken. Oh no, he hasn't. Oh my goodness me, it's just a comedy of errors. Kagiso Rabada ran to his right, had to dive. The ball was not travelling at any pace whatsoever. He had both hands on the ball and somehow it's ended up on the deck. It would be cruel and harsh to say that it looks like an under-12s game out there at the moment, such as the standard of play we've seen. But Kagiso Rabada, how have you dropped that?
Yeah, it's a simple chance really. It's almost hit him on the wrist. I think he's completely overrun it and dived when he didn't need to.
Short again. Roy tries to pull, the bottom edges it. It goes back down the pitch to Henrik Nortje, who picks up, underarm flicks it to Quentin de Kock. That is the end of the third over. England are 17 without loss. And all that could possibly have gone wrong for both teams at the moment, barring the fact that England are none down, has happened. Nortje walks down to his fielding position, shaking his head, barely able to believe what he's just witnessed.
This is almost like if Fawlty Towers did a cricket sketch. I've never seen anything like this in men's international cricket.
Oh dear, paper's in yet, Fawlty. Oh boy, oh boy. Well, there we go. 17 without loss. Another bowling change for South Africa. Lungi Ngidi will bowl the fourth over. He has a career best of 4 for 19, which was at Johannesburg against Sri Lanka back in 2017. And I'm a little surprised actually that George Linder hasn't had another over, given Roy's discomfort against him. But instead it's the big right arm quick Lungi Ngidi into Josh Butler, who flips the ball in that characteristic style of his into mid-wicket, and England rotate the strike once more.
Keep it up in a circle, boys.
The last two balls of that final over from Nokia, they just confirm the pace of the pitch and the slow balls that the bowlers are bowling, because Josh Butler pulling that ball, it's gone so far in front of square, and then the next ball we saw Jason Roy try and do the same and it's gone straight back to the bowler. So it's obviously difficult to score. We saw a little bit of that in the first innings, but this is just again confirmation that it wasn't just South Africa making a meal of it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Barely a ball's found the middle of the bat so far, as Ngidi bustles in and Jason Roy advances and slams this down towards mid-on, who is back on the fence. Diving stop from him. A little bit of indecision from Roy and Butler, who might want to just introduce themselves to one another as an opening partnership, because it certainly looks as though they've never seen each other before. But Jason Roy has indeed found the middle of the bat, and they'll pick up two.
First time we've seen a batter come down the pitch to a seamer as well, and that looked more of a convincing shot from Jason Roy. He's gone to his strength. He's tried to greet the ball on the full and create that opportunity to be able to hit down the ground.
Yeah, put a bit of your own pace onto the ball on this slow deck as Ngidi is in. It's a cutter. Jason Roy gives himself a bit of room and slams it through the offside. That is emphatic from the Surrey man, and England move on to 24 without loss.
Yeah, another slow ball then from Ngidi, and it actually jagged right back off the pitch and came back into Roy, but he'd given himself some room towards the leg side and just opened that offside up to him and he's crunched that first bit of timing that we've seen from either of the England players, I'd say.
Yep, 3 men in the covers just turned round and jogged after it.
Sorry.
Jason Roy just stopping Lungi Ngidi in his tracks, checking for damage on the bottom part of his blade. Field has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men inside the circle on the offside. The 2 men back, a deep square leg and long on. So Ngidi is in once more. Another slower ball. And another ball mistimed, this time to Risa Hendricks at mid-wicket, and there's no run.
Going back to what I was saying in the first over of Rabada, it was where he's not got his slips in and he's immediately gone to the slow balls. I know that I said that was a good option, but it feels like it's quite defensive from South Africa. I don't know how they're going to get these 2 batters out in that style of play unless you're hoping to just get someone caught on the boundary. Almost feels like they've gone into their shell immediately, and for me they need to take wickets in this power play to have a chance of winning this game.
Ngidi tall and hits the pitch. This time it hits the middle of the bat from Roy, but it finds mid-wicket once more with a cross-batted stroke. I suppose the interesting thing from South Africa's point of view is they might turn around to us all and say, well, we took 3 wickets in the power play last time and we lost. With England's batting line-up the way that it is, either way round we seem to be up against it, but I know exactly what you mean. And given the way that England have started, as Ngidi is in once more, way down the leg side, and that'll be given wide. Given the way that England have started, you'd have thought perhaps with a little bit more sort of intent from South Africa's point of view that Butler and Roy might well have given their wickets away anyway. But you're right, the tactics appear to be it's a slow pitch, we're going to take the pace of everything, put a ring in place on one side and wait for a mistake, as opposed to sort of taking on the onus themselves. Ngidi is in a little wider of the crease this time. This time it's straight up in the air. Roy has tried to slam it through the offside again. It has gone straight up. It is taken by one of those 3 men. I think it's Henrik Klaasen at cover. Lungi Ngidi has the wicket. The breakthrough has come. South Africa's tactics of waiting for one of the England batsmen to give their wicket away has paid off. And it's Jason Roy, 14 from 19 for him, England 25 for 1.
Yeah, he knew as soon as he hit that, he's come down the track again, he's tried to create something. He's played that shot on one foot, almost Kevin Peterson style, that flat bat shot, and he's just top edged that straight up, and it was a good catch in the end. It's gone really high, and you could just see the reaction from Klaasen there that they're not quite as simple as they look, especially against the blue sky. So South Africa probably on top here, 25 for 1 after 4 overs, and they've got rid of Jason Roy, and you've now got David Malan coming in, and there's still the likes of Bairstow, Morgan, Stokes still in the shed. So I see what you're saying about South Africa. They got early wickets in the last game and it didn't work for them, but they're not going to win this game unless they bowl England out. No,
you're right. You'd rather get them than not, that is for sure. Well, I know that the modern team and the modern player likes to do a lot of video analysis and to pore over every movement and every innings, but if I were Jason Roy, I wouldn't be watching that one again.
I wouldn't watch any of it again, I don't think.
No, none of the bowlers. I think you just file that one away, as we'll put it down to experience and try to forget the entire opening 4 overs of this T20 innings. David Malan, 18 games, 701 runs, average of 46.7, strike rate 144.5. What a start to his T20 international career he's had. There are still thoughts perhaps that Joe Root might be a better bet than Malan in India in the World Cup come October, and Joe Root certainly hasn't given up the thought of representing his country in another T20 World Cup. And David Malan is very, very much the man in possession. Out on the ground where he made his first class debut 14 years ago. Henrik Nortje is in, and Milan is away straight away. Little punch off the back foot into mid-wicket for a single.
I'm surprised we've not seen Linda come back on here. I thought it would have been a nice matchup, especially having got Milan out in that first innings as well. We just watched that Jason Roy dismissal again, and it just another slow ball, another off-cutter, rolling his fingers down the ball and digging the ball into the pitch, trying to get the batters to hit square and taking away Jason Roy's strength of being able to hit down the ground.
But it's the kind of dismissal that had our friend Steve Harmison played it, batting at number 11, that you might have said it was an ugly hack, let alone an international opening batsman who just cross-batted hoik, and the ball went straight up in the air. And given that England are batting second on this surface and have seen just how slow the pitch is, and perhaps had a discussion about how best to go about playing on it, it just seemed to me that Jason Roy came out and decided he was going to play as though it was a road at the Oval and not a dusty old farm track at Boland Park in Pearl.
That's exactly what Steve said earlier in the half-time break, wasn't it? That Jason Roy kind of only knows one way, and until he is able to adapt and play square and play those lap sweeps, he's got a lot of improvements to make.
Nortje in the pads of Dawid Malan, who can only prod it to a man at mid-wicket on the single inside the circle, and there's no run. Certainly noticeable. It was noticeable in the first T20 international on Friday night that the South African bowlers were zeroing in on the right hip of Dawid Malan, just trying to give him no width, no room whatsoever. And thus far, Nortje has done exactly that. He's really sort of banged it just back of a length and trying to get the ball hip high at Malan.
I always get the impression as well with Dawid Malan early on in his innings that he's very susceptible to getting out early. He doesn't look comfortable.
Oh, that's a good delivery again. Nortje seems to, with that extra pace, seems to have the ball just tailing in, but tailing across the left-handed Malan, and Malan had to dig that one out, and again there's no run.
Yeah, we're just watching Nortje's speeds here, and he's not dropped below that 148 mark, other than when he bowled his slow ball. So he is up there, and he's testing, and he's that Yorker. If that you don't get your bat down in time, then you are gone.
Splinters everywhere as Nortje is in once more. Oh, that's really quick, short ball, and that has tightened up Dawid Malan again. The line was absolutely spot on at the body of Malan. He attempted to play a pull shot. I don't know if he got glove or bat, or if it's hit him in the helmet, in fact. Just waiting for the replay here, but that's an absolute beauty from the big quick.
Yeah, 93 mile an hour that was, and he's just seen the ball before. He's almost hit Malan on the toes, and then next ball he's hit him in the shoulder and almost taken his helmet off. So yeah, he immediately said he was okay, but I saw Steve Harmison rubbing his hands together at the front of the box there. He's enjoying a bit of fast bowling here, and it's kind of what we've missed in the first innings.
Again, tight at the hip of Malan, who tries a pull shot but gets tucked up. The ball is cannoned off that right hip. Malan is down on his haunches at the non-strikers end. That's certainly winded him, and Nortje is making life very, very uncomfortable for England's Dawid Malan. 5 overs gone, 28 for 1. And right on cue, Steve Harmison has joined me in commentary. That's a bit more like it, isn't it? A bit of intent, bit of aggression from South Africa.
It is, absolutely, Butch, and it's what I'd be encouraging every team to play that plays Dawid Malan. If you've got a quick bowler, get him on early. I'm not saying he's scared of the ball, but he's somebody who I think doesn't like, probably the reason why he hasn't played the longer format is because if you've got anybody quick, I think he is quite susceptible. If you do get the ball in and around his ribcage area, or you make him have to sort of play off the back foot or go in the defensive mode, then all of a sudden you can get him in and around off stump, airy-fairy with his bat. That's a good ploy to have, even in the shorter format. There is a way for bowlers to work out batsmen, really do a number on them and really rough them up, even though you're playing the shorter format of the game, and that's what Nortje has just done to Dawid Malan.
The Ngidi now, who again aims the ball middle of the pitch at the right hip of Dawid Malan, who tries the pull shot and can only bottom edge it into his body and scamper up the other end for a single, take a bit of a breather. I mean, you say, I mean, Dawid Malan, his only Test match 100 came at the Wacker against Australia, so it's not as though he has a problem with the short ball as such, but in the short format where players are looking to try and score quickly, if you can tuck him up on that around the hip and around the body, it's not as easy as for him to find the boundary as it is if he gets a bit of width. In goes Ngidi to Butler, who pings the ball at cover, and again there's no run.
I don't know about you, Butch, but that wouldn't surprise me he gets 100 at the Wacker, because the way he plays, he stays leg side of the ball, he looks to play the cross bat shot, the horizontal bat shot rather than the straight bat shot, and I think that's what, playing on the fast bouncy pitch like the Wacker, batsmen give him some room. On a slower surface, when the bowler's really testing your sort of technique and ticker out, not having to sway, duck, move, whichever way, I still think that's the best way to go to Malan.
Butler tries a pull shot and it flashes underneath his blade through to Quinton de Kock. Butler has 8 from 8, Malan has 2 from 6, and England are finding things just as tricky as South Africa did in terms of finding the middle of the bat and free scoring.
Not only are they bowling the slower balls very, very well, when they're bowling quick balls, they're bowling across seams, wobble seam. They're giving the ball a chance to sit in this pitch, which makes it very, very difficult for the England batsmen to get in a position to line the ball up because the indifferent bounce, and also to hit the thing.
Ngidi in once more, and that's outside edge, and it's flashed fine of the 2 third man inside the circle and has gone away for 4. Ngidi does not look happy. He's remonstrating with Quinton de Kock that he doesn't like the field, and as a quick bowler, I have to say I'd agree with him. No third man?
No third man, yeah. Give Josh Butler a little bit of credit here. I think he ran this down to third man. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, that's an outside edge catch slip. Is there somebody in a catching position? But actually, I think Josh is a little bit more in control, and with the 2 guys inside the circle behind square on the offside, it is a very, very good shot by the England batsman.
Yeah, I wonder if Ngidi was just saying, rather than have him back on the fence, that Shamsi had got himself too square. As he goes in again, and this is wide of the stumps. Oh, Josh Butler, that's glorious. He just punches it off the back foot, bisecting the field on the offside, and it flies to the boundary for 4. And in a couple of deliveries, Josh Butler has got England moving. 37 for 1. Butler goes on to 16 from 10.
Vintage Butler, absolute vintage Butler. We just see a replay of it on our screen in front of us. The ball is directly under his eye line. Let the ball come to him on a pitch which is a little bit slow, trying to hit the ball, trying to get your hands too far away from yourself, a little bit like Jason Roy. Perfect shot by Josh Butler.
Nick, that is an edge. That is an edge. That would have gone straight into the lap of a second slip had there been one. But Josh Butler doesn't care. That's 3 boundaries in 3 deliveries. The power play is over, and England are 41 for 1.
South Africa versus England live on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Feel it all and watch every England Test, ODI and T20 live and exclusive on the dedicated Sky Sports cricket channel.
It's TalkSport 2. The cricket is ongoing and England are batting. At the end of the power play of their innings, 41 for 1, trying to make 147 to win the second game and take the series. Just to give you a comparison, South Africa were 50 for 2 after the power play, so England are a little bit behind in terms of runs, that they're also a wicket better off. But Steve Harmison, we've seen some truly remarkable cricket, some truly bizarre cricket.
Some absolute garbage as well.
Some absolute garbage, let's be perfectly honest. But it doesn't really matter as long as you come out of this in the right way. And George Linder is going to come back into the attack as soon as the power play is done, and therefore the field can be relaxed. The left-arm spinner who bowled the opening over of the match that went for 6 is going to come back into the attack. So Butler and Malan are the men at the crease. It's left arm around to the left-handed Malan, and that's a glorious shot. He goes on the reverse paddle and gets it past short third man and straight away races away for 4. And 45 for 1 are England. Milan with that boundary goes to 6.
I think this is a poor bit of decision making by the South African captain. You've got Milan more or less when you want them. Henrik Nokia has just bowled 3 of the last 4 balls in excess of 150 kilometres an hour. Got Milan where he wants them, and you bring a spinner on for him to reverse sweep. It doesn't make sense, this, by the South African captain.
Linda around the wicket to the left-handed Milan. Milan will come forward, work it into the onside. Goes through mid-wicket. There's no one in front of square inside the circle, so it will go out for a long single. They might have thought about 2 later on in the innings, but not at this stage. It's 1, it's 46 for 1.
Yeah, David Milan's Christmases have all come at once here, with the left-arm spin bowler coming on, turning it back into him. Nice and easy, just clips it after a reverse sweep for 4. Clips it down the ground, gets down the non-strikers in, and all the garbage that's been on show, or the indifferent player, Jos Buttler has been, very, very strong.
And Buttler waits for Linda, and he waits and waits and waits for that ball to arrive, and just pushes it out into the offside. Beats the men inside the circle. The sweeper will gather. It's a single. 47 for 1. The target is 147. I think we can all do the maths on that one. And therefore England are moving along nicely. Jason Roy, the man to go for 14, caught by Klassen, skied off Ngidi, 14 from 19. That was 25 for 1. It's now 47 for 1. Oh, Milan's got a lot of width as Linda bowls wide, left arm around, and then almost across, corner to corner on the pitch. And Milan mistimed the drive inside portion of the bat, and it just trickles back down the pitch. 2 men out sweeping on the cover. There's a short third man and a backward point and an extra cover inside the circle on the offside. Linda bowls straight, enabling Milan to turn this onside. It will be outside the circle, but once again they've not got it far away from the fielder, who is sweeping, and a single taken. 48 for 1.
Very good speed by Linda. He's bowling about between 48 and 50 mile an hour. He's taking the pace off it. He's basically saying to the England batsman, well, if you want to come and hit a big shot, you're going to have to come out your crease, and you're going to have to come at the ball and come hard at the ball. Keep your shape has been very, very difficult so far in this whole 2020 match.
Buttler waits, goes on to the reverse. There's 2 men there, short third man and the backward point. We know how good Jos Buttler is at playing that shot. On this occasion, he can't beat the man, over completed. 48 for 1 are England after 7, trying to make 147 to win this game. Steve Harmison.
And talked about Jos Buttler. Jos Buttler, I thought about 2 overs ago, was going to be in the position he was in the first match, because he was getting a little bit starved to strike. Jason Roy was taking up a lot of balls, and then David Milan did exactly the same, but then Jos got 2 balls with pace on off Henrik Nokia, which he could just vintage Buttler. Stand in the crease, let the ball come to him, and just put his hands through the line of the ball. 2 very, very good shots, and got himself on his way. Now it's up to Milan now to keep turning the strike over. If they're not going to score boundaries, can we keep turning the strike over and making sure that we don't die and get into a little bit of a hole? Can we get our 1s and 2s? It's a fair sized ground in the pockets, especially against spin. Can we get over get it over the infield? Shamsi's going to come on and bowl, so we're going to have 2 spin bowlers on at the same time. Can we chip it over mid-wicket or extra cover, run hard, run 2, along with our sweep and reverse sweep? And I think you're going to see that over the course of the next 4 or 5 overs. If England can turn the strike over nicely, pick the odd boundary up, get themselves in a solid position to hit the latter part of this game.
Yep, it'll be Shamsi's left arm wrist spin over the wicket to Milan, and he immediately gets one to grip and straighten. Milan is pushing it out to mid-wicket and will take a single, and it is 49 for 1. Buttler therefore comes on strike. Now Buttler, if he wants to go into the leg side, that is the hit with the wind. So just looking there, they've got the mid-wicket is now sort of straightening to cow corner, and long on is sort of quite wide as well, just to sort of take into account that breeze. Shamsi on his way, left arm over, Buttler swings hard into the leg side. The fielder will get round and do the fielding, so it is just a single. Jos Buttler gave that the absolute beans, but only gets a single that brings up the 50. 50 for 1 are England.
Yeah, good shot there by Jos Buttler. Good intent. He got right back in his crease. That's the beauty about Jos. He gets, he doesn't get forward too much, but he gets right back in his crease. He uses the depth of his crease very, very well when he's hitting off the back foot.
Reza Hendricks was the man out on the boundary doing the fielding. Milan deep in his crease on this occasion, pushing down to long on for a single. Klassen does the fielding, takes it to 51 for 1. England's 50 coming up, 2 balls into the 8th over. South Africa's came up with the last ball of the 6th, but South Africa were 2 wickets down by this stage. Shamsi's gone for 3 singles. Coming in, over the wicket still to Butler. Butler down the pitch, swings, misses, and he's bowled. He would have been stumped if it hadn't have collected the stumps on the way through to start with. But Butler comes down the pitch, swings across the line, wasn't going back over the bowler's head. He's looking for the side boundaries, and Shamsi gets his man. He's screaming with delight. He knows how important that could be. And how significant is it? Jos Buttler goes, aiming a big one into the leg side. Bowled middle and leg to the wrist spinner. England 2 down.
And animated Jos Buttler leaves the crease, and that's as animated I've seen Jos Buttler, to be fair, ever. Shaking his head, he's biting his lip, he's muttering himself, and he's got a good right to, because I'm not sure what he was trying to do here. The ball it's not coming onto the bat, so he's going to have to try and make the room for himself and try and use his momentum, go to hit the ball down the ground. But in this one-day international, 2020 international so far, we haven't seen many big hits down the ground. Just a little bit of a brainwave there by Jos. He's completely missed it. Shamsi's thrown the ball up. It's turned back in, probably pitched just outside off stump. It's hit the 2/3 of the way up, a little bit further up the middle stump. Jos Buttler goes, and England, from being in such a comfortable position, you're not thinking he's going to running away with it here, but they're in a comfortable position. Butler looked good. So all of a sudden, there's a lot of pressure now on Johnny Bairstow, like there was in Cape Town.
Well, of course, Bairstow top scored, 86 not out from 48 balls, his best score in T20 international cricket. So he's a man in form arriving at the crease. But as Steve Harmison said a few times, this is, all of a sudden you're starting to think that 146 for 6 might be a better score than we first gave it credit for. This pitch is not easy to play on, and here comes Shamsi. Bairstow comes forward and plays a forward defensive as Shamsi bowls left arm over the wicket to him, just pushing back down the pitch. 5 balls of the over gone, 3 runs and a wicket.
Yeah, 147 is it's not a massive total when it comes in the grand scheme of things of 2020. As you see on the screen in front of me, Jos Buttler doing, running down the wicket and just missed it, and he missed it by a long, long way.
Final ball of Shamsi's over. Bairstow is pushing back wide of the bowler. Shamsi himself will have to run after it and do the fielding. Single will be taken. Shamsi's first over has gone for 4 and has taken the wicket of Jos Buttler. His captain, Quinton de Kock, will be absolutely delighted. England 52 for 2 after 8 overs, trying to make 147, and of course you're listening to TalkSport 2.
And the 147, yes, it's on the board, and you've got scoreboard pressure. And I honestly think, Macca, now it could come down to the team who panics the most. Do England panic and go hard and try and make the total up in this next 4 or 5 overs, or do England just wait till the latter part of 15, 16, 17 overs and say, like what England did when South Africa were batting? England changed their plan from hitting the pitch, taking the pace off the ball and making it very difficult to score, to go in death and go in full, and then it was easier to score. South Africa did it in Cape Town the other night when they thought it was going to reverse swing. The ball went full. England managed to get 30 or 40 in the space of about 4 overs. So it'll be a case of who holds their nerve, but also who holds their game plan as well.
Linda will bowl the 9th around the wicket, left arm around, and it's chopped into the offside by Bairstow. He played a horizontal bat shot to start with, doesn't time it, and then practices a vertical bat shot. The force off of the back foot, wasn't able to time the first one. He waits. Linda comes in, only a couple of steps. Now Bairstow goes back and again plays a horizontal bat shot that takes the under edge and has just trickled down to short third man for no run.
Again, we see there from Johnny Bairstow, he has struggled to time. He's come in, he's looked to force it off the back foot with a horizontal shot where probably just suits it. It might be worth it Milan stepping down a wicket and say, look, just try and hit in the gap for a few, get in, turn the strike over.
Bairstow waits, plays that one much better. Bat was Not vertical, but certainly closer to 45 degrees. Times it, pushes it out to the sweeper on the offside, and a single is taken. 53 for 2. Bairstow has 2 from 5 and brings David Milan back on strike, who has 10 from 12.
Yeah, that was better from Bairstow. Didn't try and hit it too hard, just caressed it, looked to hit the boundary right out in the field, trots down the other end and just rotates strike, especially when you've got left and right hand combination.
Linder will bowl left arm around the wicket to Milan, and Milan has got very, very close to almost catching up with that and hitting it to the keeper. Quinton de Kock, he misses it, and it goes through to the keeper, and there was some turn there as well.
Yeah, a little bit of turn, but also a little bit more pace on that ball. I think Linder's knowing that Milan is looking to force the sweep.
Couple of steps and in. That one's a little bit slower. Seems to give it a little bit of air. Whip to Milan. He's able to carve it out to point. Rabada will do the fielding out on the boundary, and it is just a single. 11 to Milan now from 14. 54 for 2 are England, trying to make 147.
And another got over by South Africa, and another got over by the left arm spin of Linder. 2 off the over. Not be looking for any damage off this last ball. Putting real pressure on England going into what is a very, very tough middle overs to score from.
Linder in. Bairstow times that one, beats the 2 men in the ring on the offside, and Van der Dussen will do the fielding out on the boundary for just a single. So 3 singles in that over is all that comes from Linder's 3rd over. He's got 0 for 16 from his 3, and it means that after 9 overs, England 56 for 2. South Africa, by the way, scored 37 runs between overs 11 and 17. So it gives you an idea of how much more difficult it gets as it progresses, Steve Harmison.
Yeah, spot on, Macca. But what England did then after the 17th over was change their game plan and bowl at the death. They tried to bowl death overs. Tom Curran came on, bowled around the wicket to Lindo, tried to bowl wide of the line, got a couple of boundaries away. Then all of a sudden Jordan did the same, and it was a case of, well, you know, it was working for you. The plan was working. Stick with it.
Shamsi to start a new over. Bairstow goes into the leg side. He's got underneath it. Has he got enough of it? No, he hasn't. Picks out the man on the boundary at mid-wicket, and England are 55 for 3. Bairstow, man of the match performance in Cape Town with 86. It's 3 in match number 2 from 7 deliveries, and Shamsi's got 2 for 4. And South Africa have made another big breakthrough as Bairstow takes on the mid-wicket boundary and falls short.
Well, Johnny Bairstow now has played 4 attacking shots in his fateful innings. 3 of them on the offside, tried to force it off the back foot, clothed everyone, so he's decided to go against Shamsi, against the spin, try to hit it into the leg side, cross bat, slog sweep, and he just managed to get high on the bat, straight up in the air. And to be fair, he was closer to the 30-yard circle than he was to the boundary, and England are in real trouble now at 55 for 3.
Well, this is the 10th over of the innings. Hendricks it was with the catch, and you have to say, he barely had to move. It was one of those that was online from the moment it left the bat. It was all a case of, was he going to take the catch, and he pouches it safely enough. Well, Ben Stokes strides to the middle. Ben Stokes made 37 from 27 balls in Cape Town. He averages 19 in T20 international games, which I guess in many respects the average is less important as the strike rate, because with this England side, how many times does he come in at sort of 3 or 4 overs in?
Well, the biggest surprise on his stats when they show us on the screen is his best T20 score is 47 not out.
He's facing the spin of Shamsi. That really didn't get up at all, and Stokes had to wait a very, very long time before he punches off the back foot down to Faf du Plessis at long off and will take a single.
Don't want to put a commentator's curse on here, Macca, and I'm going to make some statements about Ben Stokes. He's only faced 1 ball, but I think what we're going to see, hopefully we'll see off Ben Stokes, is the thinking cricketer of Ben Stokes, understanding the surface, not being able to go crash bang wallop, hit the ball into field, and hopefully he's going to buy himself some time to get in on this surface, to hit the latter part of 4 or 5 overs, to give his himself and his team the best chance of winning.
At the non-strikers end as Milan turns Shamsi into the leg side. Shamsi in his follow-through has gone tearing through towards mid-wicket to stop David Milan taking a single. 56 for 3. We're halfway through the 10th. At 10 overs, South Africa were 75 for 3. At the moment, they are 20 runs ahead. England need 91 from 63 to win. It's another turning ball from Shamsi. Milan has tried to fetch that from a long way outside of off stump. It's taken very low down on the bat. It will go out to long on for a single. But again, the point you made earlier, very few balls have been properly timed in this game today. This pitch is getting harder and harder to play on.
Harder and harder to score off, and that's why ball into pockets and areas and run hard.
Shamsi in. Turns, Stokes off the back foot, waits for it, punches to long on. And Klassen will field, single taken, 58 for 3.
This is the point where South Africa stalled. South Africa stalled in the first innings. Between 10 and 15 overs, had a real struggle.
Shamsi in another one that turns away from Milan, carving out on the offside. Van der Dussen will field, single taken. 10 overs have gone, 59 for 3 here on TalkSport 2 are England. So as I say, 75 for 3 with South Africa at this point. And just to reiterate what you were saying, between 10 and 15, South Africa went from 75 for 3 to 102 for 5. So they scored 27, they were 27 for 2 in that 5 over period.
And I'd imagine Ben Stokes and David Milan will know that, and they'll know that if they just have to just up the rate a little bit, manage to get themselves in a position of half in that deficit, then all of a sudden they've got a good chance at hitting the last 5 overs. So not all's lost for England. 2 very, very good experienced campaigners at the crease.
Milan waits. And has a big carve at this one from Linder. His front foot is a long way from where the ball is pitching. He's relying on hand-eye coordination. Inside edges it onto his foot, and it rolls not a million miles away from the stumps. And Quentin de Kock was getting very excited about that one for a minute. It's everyone a winner at the moment. Now Milan comes down the pitch, just easing it into the offside. He's not gone full-blooded. Can Nortje get round? No, he can't. And actually, that turns into a really, really good shot by Milan. And without trying to overhit it, just guided it to where he wanted and timed it as well as we've seen a ball hit for a while. England 63 for 3 as Kate Cross replaces Steve Harmison in the co-commentator's chair.
Yeah, that was a lovely shot, wasn't it? I think we've kind of missed a little bit of that in this game. It's, we've not seen any nice cricket. Everyone's just trying to hit the ball as hard as they can and as far as we can. And I think that the people that are going to...
As Linder comes in, Milan carving into the offside. We're back to trying to hit the ball as hard as possible. It's out to Rabada for a single.
Just as I was talking then as well. But yeah, I think that the batters that are going to come out on top of this are going to be the ones that bat as long as they can, because that's when it's looked easier to score, but also just play good cricket shots. It's a slow, difficult pitch. You don't need to try and get this total in 15 overs. I think if these two come back for a little bit of period of time and try and consolidate, then England can still win this game.
Now for the first time we can see Linder going over the wicket. He's going over to the wicket to the left-handed Stokes. Stokes is taking this from outside off stump, but just using the natural angle to turn it past the bowler on the leg side. They were thinking about a second, but no point risking anything there. Take the comfortable single. 65 for 3. England trying to make 147.
I think that's the beauty of having Stokes in at this stage as well. We saw that a lot last summer, didn't we, in the Ashes and in that World Cup final that he played in. That he reads situations so well, and he just knows how to time his innings and how to play effective cricket when it's difficult. So I think he's the best person to have in at this stage.
Linder is back around the wicket to Milan, but this again is outside of the leg stump really, so Milan's just able to turn this one into the leg side pretty easily. 7 from the over so far, a 4 and 3 singles, 1 ball to go, and this is the final delivery that George Linder will send down this afternoon. He's got 0 for 23 so far. over the wicket to Ben Stokes. Stokes goes on for the reverse, gets underneath this. Has he got enough airtime on it? Oh yes, he has, and he's got plenty of direction on it as well. Rabada can't go round and cut that one off. That will complete the over. 11 gone. England 70 for 3, and Linder will finish with 0 for 27 from his 4 overs today.
What a fantastic shot by Ben Stokes, and again, like what Kate was saying before, you know, the nous and the experience that he's got, but also the intelligence that Ben Stokes has got. Linder's gone over the wicket, giving Stokes some room, angle coming into him, and Stokes knows for a fact that even though the ball's turning into him, he can still get his hands free and hit it over the top of the short third man fielder, and he's one bounce for. Fantastic bit of cricket by Ben Stokes, and Linder's bowled well, to be fair, for South Africa, but I think again we talk about two spinners. This is the beauty of having two spinners in your side.
Shamsi in for his third, a roundabout leg stump, turning back towards off as Milan will turn on the onside. The bowler will scurry out towards mid-wicket and do his own fielding. Single taken, 71 for 3.
That's another beauty of Ben Stokes as well. He's got all those shots in his armoury, so that is not a risky shot for him to play. We saw that in the past, how he scores runs from that shot. If you see Jason Roy playing that shot, you're wondering what's going on and obviously questioning what is going on in that batter's mindset.
That was Ben Stokes hitting the ground very, very hard with his bat as he's tapping at the crease. There's some aggression in there, waiting for Shamsi. Shamsi in, but Ben Stokes plays a very soft and gentle shot, pushing into the onside. Norkira is the man at short mid-wicket, and Stokes can't beat him, and there is no run. Clearly a favourite bat of Ben Stokes is this one. There's tape all over it. Tape round the top, tape round the bottom. There's bright green marks from where he's clearly been on the indoor nets as well. This is a loved piece of willow. He uses it to play a perfectly respectable forward defensive. To Shamsi's next delivery. Halfway through the 12th over, England 71 for 3.
And have you noticed there, he's batting his grip. He's batting his grip. He's just opened the face of his bat because I think he's looking to hit. He knew what he was looking to do. He knew he was looking to hit Linder over the top of the leg, so offside.
Oh, he's in trouble here, Shamsi's come in bold. A wrist-spinning delivery that's hit Ben Stokes in front. Now they're going to be asking a question, where did it pitch? And the big question for me is, did it pitch outside the line of leg stump? Because otherwise, Ben Stokes is in trouble here. They have reviewed it, the South Africans, and Ben Stokes is back on his stumps. Now, we have seen the ball turn a decent amount, so I think the two questions are, where did it pitch? And if it pitches in line, where is it then going?
I think it's pitched in line, Mac. I just think it's gone down. I'm not sure it's come back enough.
Oh, it didn't spin as much as I thought it did, actually. It might be sliding down there. We're seeing the first replay. Now, Stokes is, well, half a foot length inside of his stumps. So height isn't a problem here. He's right back on the poles. And they put in ultra edge on it. There's nothing as far as the bat's concerned. The only wavy line is when the ball makes contact. So where does it pitch, Shamsi? It pitches in line. Impact is umpire's call. The wickets is umpire's call. And the review is therefore retained by South Africa. But the original decision was not out. And they will stay with not out by a hair's breadth.
That was a lot closer than I actually thought it looked.
Yeah.
I was giving that not out immediately. And
Same here.
you watch how Quentin de Kock behind the stumps was flying down leg side, and you could see middle and off as well, which often gives you an indication that the ball is going to hit in front of, well, going down leg stump. But yeah, that was a lot closer.
Yeah, I had that going down leg side. Naked eye was straight away, that not out, down leg side, but it actually was a lot closer than you thought. I thought it was umpire's call, but just clipping.
Shamsi in, gives that one a little bit of air. Stokes is punching to long on for a single where Klassen will field. So Stokes goes to 8 from 8. England 72 for 3. 147 the targets. If you've not been with us from the outset, England won the toss, put South Africa into bat. 146 for 6 they made from their 20 overs. England therefore needing to make 147. The original rate 7.35. Required rate is now just around 9.2. Milan will turn one into the leg side to complete the 12th over with a single. England 70 3-4-3. Just a reminder, of course, not the only live sport here on TalkSport 2 this afternoon. Once we're done and dusted, we're going to be going to Brentford as London Irish take on the Leicester Tigers in the Gallagher Premiership. London Irish's first game in their new home. They're sharing the Brentford Stadium, so we'll be off there as Nick Heath and the London Irish legend Topsy Ojo is alongside him for that one. We followed Friday's cricket with rugby action. The Super League Grand Final was an absolute doozy, a low-scoring attritional affair. I've got a feeling that the Gallagher Premiership game this afternoon might be slightly looser and a little bit more runs, but once again we'll bring you over ball action once we're done with the cricket.
You know, my action after Friday night was very, very good. I have to get this in early because Mark Butcher, Crystal Palace fan, Steve Harmison, Newcastle United fan. Mark Butcher got a taste of what Newcastle United fans have had for the majority of this season, which is a complete and utter, defensive performance and nick it at the end.
Rabada is going to start his second over. Milan on his toes, drops this one down to third man for a comfortable single. 74 for 3 is the score. So you enjoyed it rather more than he did then?
Well, Butch probably enjoyed the first 89 minutes and then I enjoyed the last 5.5. Thank you. That's the way Newcastle United have gone this season, to be fair. But interesting here, a change up. Nokia, Rabada and Nagidi. This is where Ben Stokes will be wanting the pace on the ball, because he'll be saying to David Milan, just work the spinner, because this is where we can score.
Stokes is trying to guide this into the offside. Can't beat Bavuma at points. There's no run.
I think both of them also need to recognise that this is an attacking move by South Africa, and Quentin de Kock will have brought Rabada on to try and get him a wicket here, because they know if they can get 4 or 5 down before the 15th over, then South Africa have got a chance of winning this game. So I think Milan and Stokes will have recognised that this could be a key over in the game as well.
Could this be a 1 over trick just in case, or is he looking maybe to get 2 out of Rabada? Rabada goes in, bowls a slower ball cutter. It's down the leg side that Stokes will turn down to fine leg for a single. That's 2 for the over in terms of singles, 75 for 3. What I mean by that is just say, right, this is a 1 over spell, let's just do nothing stupid here.
Possibly, but I think Rabada will probably only bowl, you're right, that 1 over. But I think Ben Stokes and David Milan have still got to score. They've got to still be looking to try and score, and if there's a boundary option there, you're seeing Stokes move right across, give himself a position to think, well, if it's in my target area, I'm still going to have to hit it.
Rabada is in. It's an attempted pull shot from David Milan with no timing at all. Underside of the bat goes into his thigh pad and just trickles out on the offside. No run.
Yeah, I think Steve's absolutely right there. I think, we're seeing that they're only 2 or 4 here, so they've kind of immediately gone into the shell. We have seen that Milan's tried to strike that ball, but it's just so difficult to score on this pitch that I think they just almost need to push the ball out into the deep and run those singles hard.
Rabada is in. It's another shortish ball. Milan goes on the pull. It's out to Van der Dussen, who's sweeping on the leg side boundary. He will return. David Milan goes to 23 from 26 balls faced. England 76 for 3. They need 71 from 43 to win this game.
I think if you're Ben Stokes now, though, with 1 ball to go in this over, you try and get off strike, get down the other end, and just take this 4 off this over. Thank you very much. That's 1 less over for their best bowler, and no damage done.
They're all.
Sorry, Kate.
Sorry, go on. You go.
Rabada makes his way in for the final time this over, and it's a swing into the leg side, inside portion of the bat. Reza Hendricks is the man who is on the edge of the circle on the leg side, and he will field, take the single, and what's happened is what Steve Harmison called for. 4 singles from the over, and Ben Stokes will be on strike for the start of the 14th. England 77 for 3.
I was going to say they're going to have to pick a bowler to attack, though, whether it's going to be Nagidi or Nokia from at this stage on. They need to get a good over in somewhere and try and take a little bit of that pressure off. They're not too far behind the rate at this stage, but I think they're going to need to pick someone to go after. Yeah,
and I think that might come down to the game plan, and the game plan of South Africa leading into what would be the decisive overs of 15 in, 16 in. So it might England's game plan might be dictated to the way South Africa changing their play. It could be something similar, Butch, to the other night in Cape Town.
Well, England will certainly be hoping that one of the South African bowlers goes for 28 in an over as Shamsi comes in for his last. Ben Stokes sweeps. It goes a long, long way up in the air. There's a fielder circling underneath it. Oh, he needs to be another 20 yards back. The strength of Ben Stokes. It didn't look to me as though he got that right out of the middle. It seemed to come off the top half of the bat, but it has sailed for 6.
Ben Stokes has waited about 2 overs to do this to Shamsi. Shamsi hasn't given him anything above his eye line at all, and he's given him that one. First ball into the arc. Stokes has gone right back in his crease. His back foot's nearly touching the stumps. He's got the toe of the bat. So I know it's not very big here at Boland Park, Pal, but he's got enough on it in the air, gone with the wind, and it's gone miles over the boundary for 6. And pressure on. We seen the other night, pressure on, 6 off the first ball, Shamsi, and he got a double figures over. So could this be the over for England?
Steve Harmison reprising Rhett Butler there. Frankly, my dear, that one's gone straight up in the air. Ben Stokes is going to give a damn because he's out. Shamsi has picked up his third. 3 for 17 now, Shamsi. He'll take a 6 and out to get rid of Ben Stokes, and that is a huge, huge wicket for South Africa. Stokes shakes his head, but he's got to shake it as he walks off back to the pavilion.
He's just tried to do the same thing again there and tried to hit another boundary. Could he have been a little bit smarter there and just got himself off strike and give Milan a chance? But he's cleared his front leg, and he knew as soon as he hit that it's gone straight up the chimney. And easy catch for de Kock in the end. He's just 5 yards to his left and just caught it. But what a game Shamsi's having here. He's really changed the momentum for South Africa on both occasions when he's come on to bowl.
I think a carbon copy of the one before. He didn't quite get to the one before. He managed to get enough on it to get it over the line. This one he's tried to hit a bit too hard. Maybe like what I was mentioning before, up at Cape Town, Shamsi went for 6 off the first ball, and the pressure became too much, and he gave away a big over. And I wonder if Ben Stokes was thinking exactly the same. Johnny Bairstow hit Shamsi a couple of 6s down the ground, and England got a big over off him, and maybe Ben Stokes is thinking this is the game changing over. Can we get 15, 16, 17 off this over to really push us back into the game? Didn't work for Ben Stokes, and the England captain is now at the crease under a little bit of pressure, Butch.
Yeah, he certainly is. You're listening to South Africa versus England on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Watch every England Test, One Day International and T20 live and exclusive on the dedicated Sky Sports Cricket channel. Morgan chops his first ball off the bottom edge, and it just evades Quentin de Kock. It might actually have been a chance, a very, very difficult one. But we're just seeing the end of Ben Stokes here. Shamsi got a little bit tighter to him with the second ball. The first ball, Stokes was able to extend his arms. That's where he got the power from. But this one was a bit closer to the pads of the left-hander. As Shamsi's into Morgan, drops it short. Morgan pumps it at extra cover along the ground, and there is no run.
The good news for England is that they are a confident team. They're a confident team chasing, and 64 off 38 to me seems a lot, but to them won't seem like much of a task.
Shamsi is into his last couple of deliveries. Morgan manages to spoon the ball from wide of off stump down to long on for a single. This was big. Shamsi didn't get through his full allocation of 4 overs the other night at Cape Town. I think de Kock was a little bit alarmed by the ease with which Johnny Bairstow had dealt with him, so he was taken out of the attack, and Henrik Klaasen, who's actually a wicketkeeper, bowled 1 over that cost them 14. But Shamsi's had much better of it today. His best figures in T20 internationals to date, as his final ball is nudged into the leg side by Milan, who has quietly watched proceedings go by. 24 from 27 for the number 1 T20 bowler in the world. And Shamsi finishes with the figures of 3 for 19 from his 4 overs, but his work with the ball is done.
That is a brilliant spell from Shamsi. Just watching back his wickets here, but I think you've got to give a little bit of credit as well to Rabada for that over that he bowled beforehand, because that only going for 4 has immediately added a lot more pressure onto the 2 batters out there to then go after Shamsi in that over. And we saw the 6th first ball of Shamsi's over in that final over of his spell there, and then he's done so well to claw that back, and he's had a brilliant day out, and he deserves that.
Yep, the newspapers were sort of clamouring for the return of Imran Tahir after Shamsi's disappointing run out at Newlands on Friday. The 6-gun grill Newlands, as it's called now. in South Africa. But as Steve Harmison mentioned earlier on in the piece today, it's one of those games where your fortunes can turn pretty quickly, and they certainly have done for Tabraiz Shamsi. 3 for 19 from 4, beating his previous best against Sri Lanka, 2 for 16. Lungi Ngidi now to Dawid Malan. It's short and above off stump, and Malan can only cloth the attempted pull shot to mid-wicket, and there's no run.
I think they like this attack. You look at the attack now, Butch. You know, they had Hendricks left arm seamer in Cape Town. You look at this attack now, it's got real substance. It's got pace. They can, every seam bowler in the world now has got pace and change-ups in where 20 or 50 over cricket. But they've got extreme pace as well. You've got 3 bowlers who can bowl it in excess of 90 mile an hour. This looks a proper attack now.
Ngidi is into the left-handed Malan, who again is on the pull shot. Again can't find the middle of the bat, but finds mid-wicket running in from the fence, and they turn over the strike. Owen Morgan will face his 4th ball. Malan is 25 from 29. It has not been a cakewalk for England's number 1 T20 batsman by any stretch. 86 for 4, and we're in for a tight finish here. The run rate has now gone up above 10 3/4 runs per over on a very difficult surface, as Ngidi is in once more to England's captain, standing upright with the bat in the air, and that has been smashed, absolutely dismissed from the presence of Owen Morgan over mid-wicket for 6.
He is the first batter to come out and actually time a ball early on in his innings, and that, bloody hell, he's absolutely powered that.
That has not missed,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's not missed anything other than the middle of the bat.
I mean, that's the best shot we've seen today, I think, by bar none. We've seen some comedy cricket at times. Batsman crudding it everywhere, not Owen Morgan. And Morgan this time is back to a slower ball and flicks the ball, slip catching practice style, into the vacant third man area, and they turn the strike over for a single.
And I think what you've got as well with Owen Morgan, you've got somebody who will not panic. He will definitely not panic no matter what situation he finds himself in. He'll have an idea and a plan of where to go. Talking to somebody who he knows well, Middlesex, a fellow county player alongside Dawid Malan. So, you know, England are, even though they're a little bit behind the 8 ball, got 2 very, very cool, calm customers in the middle. And the England captain will have an idea of what he's trying to do, where he's going to be looking to score and his scoring options, but also which bowler he's looking to target.
Yeah, Morgan will relish this as an opportunity to test himself and his team under pressure, as Ngidi is in short, slower ball, off cutter that pitches outside the leg stump of Dawid Malan and then spins past him as he tries to guide it to third man. Dot ball.
Do you think this just goes to show the impact of day-night games and how batting under lights looked? I mean, I know Bairstow did make it look easy the other night, but it does make a difference, doesn't it? The ball skidding on, whereas we're seeing both innings being played in daylight here, and both innings have looked to be difficult.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. I mean, I've watched tournaments all around the world, whether they be franchise games, T10 or whatever, and the difference between batting in daylight and batting at night is, if you'll excuse me, like night and day. As Dawid Malan flashes that one backward a point for 4. He looks mighty relieved to have been given a bit of width as he cuffs the last ball of the 15th over backward a point. Takes England to 97 for 4, and Ngidi will be rueing the fact that he went seam up. Perhaps not that so much, but as the width that he gave Dawid Malan.
Yeah, it's the width, I think, more than anything else. I think the length-wise, trying to sort of tuck Malan up. He's just gone with the angle. Malan's leant back, and it's basically a free hit. Nice, easy, juicy outside the off stump, which the first time the England batsman has timed. You know, he's been out there over 30 balls now, and you can see it's probably one of the first balls Dawid Malan has really timed, and England will be hoping that will just kick him on that little bit to get a little bit better timing, because at this moment not many players have been able to time this cricket ball on this surface. And again, I think that's a great point you mentioned, Kate, the ball not coming onto the bat because of the lights, and maybe that little bit of dew factor the other night where Johnny Bairstow did help him, but like I've said a couple of times before in the last sort of 5 minutes, England have got two very cool customers at this crease.
Nortje is into Morgan, who dances outside his off-stump left-hander, and Nortje slides one past him through to Quinton de Kock. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest cricket news, you can subscribe to the Following On podcast. Every day throughout the series we'll be bringing you exclusive interviews, post-match reaction and much more besides. You can download Following On from all your best podcast pushers. This one is shaping up to be a great finish. The average, I suppose, most teams will look for 10 and over for the last 5 when they're setting a target. That's exactly what England have in front of them now, as Morgan gets a full ball, pumps it down the ground. One bounce to Faf du Plessis at long on, and the two left-handers turn over the strike. 98 for 4 now. England requiring 49 to win.
I just wonder if Nortje's moving Milan. He's bowled 2 balls now wide outside off stump, full balls. Just wonder if he's setting them up for the short ball. He's played a nice pull shot. He's got 2 men back on the leg side behind square.
Let's see, as Nortje hits the crease hard. Oh, it's a half volley outside off stump, and Dawid Malan has flayed that through extra cover. He didn't get the right foot out to the pitch of the ball. He sort of opened himself up to give himself options if the ball had been short. The front foot went up the line of leg stump, and he got that ball outside off stump and just whacked it wide of extra cover's left hand.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous strike from Milan there, and I feel like this is an innings I've seen Milan play so many times where for his first 10-20 balls he looks borderline average, and then something clicks and he just seems to hit one out the middle and he seems to get himself going, and I feel like this could be another kind of carbon copy of how he plays his cricket more often than not.
Nortje is in again, and Milan really has got his eye in now, has clubbed that one over mid-wicket. Tight line ball over the top of off stump, and Milan has pulled it through straight mid-wicket for 4. And as Kate Cross rightly describes, he is starting to motor a little bit now, and that target is becoming easier and easier as England find the boundary.
Just pick the slower ball, Butch. I think he looks as though he's telegraphed that as he's running up. Nortje has just pulled the ball back into the grip, into his hand. I think Milan's might have seen that early in his action, sitting back, waited for it, and another, I wouldn't say a free hit, but a one which he's quite timed it easy. He's clothed it into the leg side, but a good sign for England and a good sign for Dawid Malan.
12 fours, 2 sixes, the boundary count for England as Nortje goes in again, this time getting the ball above the top of leg stump, but Milan with eye in gives himself a bit of room outside that leg stump and guides it down to third man for a single.
If anything, Steve, it felt like that was a bit of a naive field setting for that ball that he was going to bowl. He didn't have the right field set to be able to, I think he executed the ball, but he didn't have protection there to cover it. And like you said, we're just watching a replay here, you can see him running in with a slightly different grip and with the ball in his hand. And it's when he does that, he opened up that leg side, and it was a free hit. Man inside the circle, man behind square, because of the short ball. Expect a little bit more pace on it. Your man is a little bit further behind square.
Nortje into England white ball captain. Morgan bat in the air in that century style, rather scuffs the ball out to extra cover. But that is the end of the 16th over. Milan is 38 from 34. Morgan has 9 from 8. England 107 for 4. And back to needing 10 and over to win the match and the series.
And now the business overs, the 4 overs, 4 death overs. Will South Africa change their plan like England did? And England went relatively full, and the game got away from them slightly in that death period. South Africa have bowled very, very well into the pitch. Nortje there, he's been hit for a couple of 4s, but he's taking the pace off the ball. You've got Ngidi, you've got one of the best death bowlers in the game in Rabada. So England will be cautious of where their scoring options are, but also they'll be hoping that South Africa change to go to the way England did and go to the death bowling. South African captain will hopefully be looking at their bowlers and at his bowlers and saying to his bowlers, learn from what happened in that first innings. When you changed up, the game started to run away from us.
Is it difficult for you bowlers to sort of to change that mindset? You're sort of thinking to yourself, you're conditioned into thinking, hit your Yorkers, get your slower balls in. How difficult is it to change from doing what you would do 90% of the time to actually going against your what would be nature and just running up and bowling length at the back end of an inning?
But you'd also, when you look at it, Butch, the criticism would come if it doesn't go right.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd have
what are you
batsmen-
doing bowling slot balls
Exactly.
at the end? Yeah.
I think the difficulty is recognising what is the best ball to bowl on the pitch in that given situation with those two batters that are at the crease at the time. I think that's the difficult thing, because you've done all the practicing of your skills.
Rabada is in and he goes length. That ball kicks up and bounces. Would have gone over the top of middle stump, but Milan again backs away and hits it cross battered out to deep extra cover. And they come through for a single. It is Rabada into his third over. He's bowled 2.1 overs, none for 12. Linda has done none for 27 for him. Shamsi is also out of the attack, 3 for 19 for the left arm leg spinner, his career best figures. Rabada has 1.5 left and 1 left for Ngidi and for Shamsi as that ball flashes past the outside edge of Morgan. Bit of variable bounce. That one seemed to just steep a little bit on Morgan and flew through to Quentin de Kock. 108 for 4 then. As so often you'll hear Owen Morgan talk in post-match press conferences. He's always very honest about his team, very honest about what he's trying to achieve. And whatever happens here tonight, I can just picture him saying this is exactly the sort of scenario we want. Indifferent surface, run chase, doesn't all go your own way. Oh, I thought he just managed to scoop that over the head of Quentin de Kock there for a second, but once more Morgan has failed to make contact, and that's another dot ball. Quentin de Kock taking that one above head high. Good over so far for South Africa, just the 1 run from 3 deliveries.
I think this is just what I was talking about. Rabada's recognised that Morgan, we've seen in the press that he struggles against a short ball, and he's really tucked him up the last 2 deliveries and banged the ball into the pitch. Bowled with a cross seam delivery to try and get some kind of natural variation, but he's just recognised that is the most difficult ball to face in this situation.
Also pace, Butch, 88 and 89 mile an hour, last 2 balls.
Third man is now up inside the circle, and Rabada accordingly takes pace off with an off cutter, and Morgan chips it out to Faf du Plessis at mid-on, and they come back for 2. Du Plessis fumbles, but I fancy that England might well have got back for 2 either way.
I think going back to your original question, Butch, when you think about the best death bowlers in the world, I'm thinking about Jasprit Bumrah and Jofra Archer. They have, to me, they have 2 skill sets that they nail. So that's either the Yorker or the bouncer, and they don't really vary between them. They'll go one or the other, and I feel like the players who have those have the skills to start with that they can execute when asked.
Barbara's in again, and he gets that. Oh, he goes for the Yorker, misses. Owen Morgan does not miss. He scorched that through extra cover for 4, and there is the delivery. There is the danger ball that Kate Cross and Steve Harmison are talking about. If you do decide to go full on this surface and you miss the Yorker, it's the easiest ball in the world to put away, or the easiest ball on this pitch to put away anyway.
He's gone with a cross seam. He's gone cross seam Yorker, and you wouldn't see many. When you see a bowler bowl a cross seam, it's normally to get indifferent bounce. That's a little bit of muddled thinking there by Rabada.
Go short this time, and this time Owen Morgan makes contact. He gave himself a bit of room, ramped the ball off the face of the bat over the head of Quentin de Kock, and what had been an excellent over for Kagiso Rabada, Quentin de Kock and South Africa has turned out to be an excellent one for England. It's gone for 11 consecutive 4s off ball 5 and ball 6, and the pressure that was on England is now right back on South Africa.
I tell you what, Morgan has done so well to play that ball. He's had to almost matrix style himself, bend his back, and he's just managed to chip that over de Kock's head, and de Kock got a finger to that as well. You can see he's shaking his hand as if that hurt. So I'd say a bit of a let off there, because it could have been an opportunity, but it would have been a great catch.
Also shaking his head. how good a position we were in 4 balls in, and we've gone 2 boundaries off 2 balls, 2 balls which cross seam Yorker, which you wouldn't normally get from a fast bowler, and then when he does hit the pitch with a cross seam, a fantastic shot. I think you've got to give credit to Owen Morgan for the second boundary, and he gets out of an over, 11 out of an over, when in theory you would have thought 4, 5, 6, and then it's real pressure back onto England. But great player by the England captain. And you mentioned there before, Butch, great point, talking about what Morgan will be saying, indifferent pitch, chasing hard, challenging his side. He's also challenging himself here, because he's decided he's going to bat 6. He's decided that the England captain is going to be the finisher, and I'm going to be the finisher when it comes to the World T20. So this is the pressure on me now. I am going to do this. I've put my hand up to do it. This is the job I've entailed myself, and I'm going to get us over the line.
Yep, fair point. It was the Keanu Reeves style stroke from Owen Morgan that has left England needing less than 10s from the last 3 now, 29 from 18 deliveries. And Ngidi has 1 for 33 from 3, so he's going to bowl the 18th over. This will be his last. He's being meticulous about the field that he's setting for these 2 left-handers. Dawid Malan's on strike, 39 from 35 from the former Middlesex, now Yorkshire left-handed batsman. Owen Morgan at the non-striker's end. The finisher is 19 from 13 as Ngidi goes round the wicket to Malan. It's in the slot again. Malan plays it really well, actually. Slower ball. And Malan really had to slow his hands down just to get enough bat on it to scoop it up and over extra cover into the pocket in that large region of the ground and come back for 2.
Yeah, it was a good shot in the end by Malan. He shuffled himself over to the off stump to give himself some room to hit to that leg side. He's got no one in the ring on the leg side, so he's done well to adjust and play that right at the last minute, like you said, just lofted it over cover's head.
Hedging his bets a little bit there, and huge puff of dust as the ball lands in the rough outside the left-hander's off stump. That ball is a slower ball. It's short, and Malan has swung it over square leg for 4. And when I say he hedged his bets in the first ball, Ngidi, what I meant by that was that he's gone for the slower ball, fine, but he's also gone full with the slower ball. So he's neither done one thing or another. He hasn't driven it hard into the pitch. He's sort of thinking to himself, I don't want to get criticised for bowling short here. And he's done exactly the same thing. Slower ball, but it's right up there. And Malan has had the time to spot it and slot it over square leg.
It's looped at a minute. Both balls have just looped, which gives Malan time to go again. Malan's gone right across the stumps. Now he's got a chance to go again.
It's full again, and that has been edged through the vacant third man region, and that'll be another boundary. That's 10 runs from the first 3 deliveries of Ngidi's final over, and England are well on the road here. Whatever the plans have been, whatever South Africa's bowlers and captain have spoken about, it's either being poorly executed or it was the wrong plan in the first place, Kate Cross.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to get at earlier. Think about the best bowlers in the world. They have those 2 plans and they stick to them and they execute them, and I feel like this is kind of a neither here nor there plan. Is he going into the pitch? Is he trying to bowl full? It's hard to tell, especially with the field. You could see Quentin de Kock manoeuvring his men again because of that boundary the ball before.
128 for 4. Ngidi is into Malan. It's again in the slot. Malan hits it straight back over his head, and I think it may well have gone all the way for 6. Yep. The Texas horns are up from umpire Sean George, and that is a magnificent stroke, and it is another T20 International 50 for the #1 batsman in the world, Dawid Malan. 55 from 39 deliveries for him. The questions answered once again, and he is guiding England through to a T20 International victory and another series win for Owen Morgan.
I actually think, Butch, that's 37.4 overs, and that's the first ball we've seen hit for a boundary down the ground, straight back downtown. Fantastic bit of timing, got himself in a position early, as he has done in the last 4 balls, and he's been able to adjust to whatever Ngidi's thrown at him.
It's in the slot again. Malan has opened himself up, hit it down towards long off, and it's brilliant. That's a brilliant piece of work from Risa Hendricks. Hendricks was just inside the boundary, had to leap up above his head, parry the ball back into play, jump out of play, and then before the ball came down on the ground inside the boundary edge, jumped across and pouched it. It's a brilliant catch from Hendricks. It's a good comeback from Ngidi, but it is more than likely too little, too late, as Milan trudges off the park after making his 8th T20 International 50.
That really is an outstanding bit of fielding, and we're seeing it pretty much in every kind of format of the game now, bits of fielding like that, and it's becoming the norm, but you can't take away how hard that is. He's timed his jump to absolute perfection. He's recognised that he's off balance when he's taken the catch and landed. He's thrown the ball back up, fallen off the ground, and then managed to get himself back on just in time. But like you said, Butch, I think a little bit too little, too late.
What a bit of fielding. What an unbelievable bit of fielding by Hendricks. Brilliance. And that's what this 2020 game's about. It's about brilliance. Surface hasn't been great surface. Finding a way. Sometimes you need something brilliant to change a game. South Africa will be hoping it's not too little, too late. A good innings by David Milan. Assessed the situation well while wickets fell around him, and shows why and proves why he was rightly selected to bat at number 3 and hold the innings together.
Well, welcome along to listeners on Talk Sport. You're listening to live coverage of England's first, second, third. Well, it's actually the second T20 International against South Africa. England on the brink of victory as Sam Curran replaces David Milan. Milan making 55 from 40 deliveries. Has just been brilliantly caught by Reza Hendricks on the boundary off the bowling of Ngidi. England chasing a target of 147 as Ngidi is into England's captain Owen Morgan. I think that's going to be called a wide from Lungi Ngidi. Ngidi's over has gone 2-4-4-6 wicket wide, and England are 12 runs away from taking an unassailable lead in the 3-match series.
Yeah, and it looks like it is game over for England. With 2 overs to go, 12 runs to win. Butch, where's your next over? You've got Nokia, who's gone for a few in the last over, but you've also got Kagiso Rabada, who has bowled a fantastic spell of bowling apart from the last 2 balls he's faced. Does Rabada bowl the next one and try and give Nokia 5 or 6 off the last and see if he can put pressure on England?
Another slower ball back of the hand this time from Ngidi, and it's cloth down the ground by Owen Morgan, who will retain the strike. 20 from 14 for England's captain, 136 for 5 England. Just seeing a replay again of Reza Hendricks. Well, I mean, it looks straightforward, to be honest. The players practice this so often now, and it's become such the norm in T20 cricket that the double play out on the boundary's edge is no longer something that gets people very, very excited. It has to be something extraordinary. But he took the catch, or parried the ball back into play, jumped out of the playing area, only to return before the ball hit the deck, and that was the end of David Milan. 55 for him, his 8th T20 International 50. A timely one for him, one that held in England's innings together, whilst those around him were finding timing the ball extremely difficult on this sluggish, some would say poor, none of the bowlers would say poor, but I would, sluggish surface at Boland Park.
I'm not sure who we've seen coming on yet to bowl, but in answer to your question, I would personally go with Rabada at this stage. I think you've got to go with your best bowler, and as I say that, Nokia comes on to bowl. But I think I disagree with this, because I think you've got to give yourself the best chance to take this to the 20th over and to get it right down as far.
You've got to get Morgan out, haven't you?
Yeah,
really?
And I think you've got to do that sooner rather than later, because this could be over in 3 balls. So I'd be bowling my best bowler at this stage and not leaving him to bowl just 3 overs in the game.
Nokia is full toss wide, swinging across the left-handed Morgan, who outside edges it down to 3rd man. Morgan cannot believe he's not hit that for 4, and it runs away for a single. Sam Curran is the new man in.
Centre.
He finished up 7 not out from just the 3 deliveries in the win at Newlands on Friday. One of those 3 deliveries disappeared for an extraordinary 6 over long on.
It was, wasn't it? He just walks out, gets a just a over pitch ball, slaps of a 6 as to say, what wicket are you boys playing on?
Nokia is in to Curran, who's up on his toes and just nudges the ball off the back foot into the covers, and he gets off the mark straight away.
Look here, wasn't giving him anything full there, was he? You're not hitting me for 6, Sammy boy.
All right, too. He's an extraordinary cricketer, Sam Curran. You kind of think that he's not suited to one form or the other, or he's not going to be quick enough for this, or he's not quite big enough or strong enough for that. Not a bit of it. He's an incredibly talented young man, and is making a huge case for himself to be included in England's plans for the T20 World Cup finals in India in October. Nortje has third man, fine leg, man out on the fence at long on and mid wicket. Mid off is up inside the circle, sweeper on the offside boundary as he's in round the wicket to Morgan, who gives himself a bit of room and then squirts the ball into the offside for another single. England happy to take no risks here at the moment until they are given the opportunity to finish the game. 8 from 9 now, 139 for 5.
You almost feel like South Africa could try and do something here. Could they bring another fielder in the ring and try and just force a mistake, because they're going to lose this game regardless. So having said that, we just see him mid-on come into the ring.
Well, you called it, Kate. Mid-on is inside the circle. 5 men in now as Nortje goes with the short ball to Curran, who turtle style tucks his head in and has a swipe at it, but connects with nothing more than thin air.
He goes slip now. You know, he's bowled a bouncer, he's got one for the over. In theory, he's got to pitch it up or bowl it back of a length. Do you then risk it, open the leg side up, take your mid wicket, put him at slip, and look to bowl that test match length outside off stump?
I reckon I'd bowl him another short one. I know you're risking giving away a no ball if it gets too high on it, but Nortje's quick enough for him to bowl it short enough that it doesn't
Flat
go
up
above
at the
head. Yeah, I'd go short again at my pace. Nortje is in, and he goes for the Yorker. Sam Curran gets a pad on it, and it goes down to fine leg for 1. 140 for 5, 7 runs away.
England will be desperate for 1 here. Morgan 7 off 7. Morgan will be looking 6 off 6. Morgan on strike. All of a sudden a good dot ball here for South Africa. 7 off 6 with Sam Curran on strike against Kagiso Rabada. South Africa might be thinking, I've got a bit of game on here.
Yep, England will be looking for a boundary off this last delivery. Morgan on strike to Ngidi. Nortje, oh, he's nicked it. Would you believe it? He has nicked it wide of the diving de Kock. Owen Morgan has that boundary. Rabada has been left with 3 to defend off the final over. Slightly streaky, I suppose you could say, for England's captain, but he won't mind one little bit. The fortune going his way and not that of his opposite number, Quinton de Kock, and that really should be game over.
Oh, it's well bowled from Nortje that. Morgan just gave himself some room on the leg side, and because of the natural angle of coming round the wicket to the left-hander, Quinton de Kock was going down the leg side, and he's almost wrong-footed himself, and that would have been an absolute worldie of a catch. But I think that just sums up South Africa's day.
Mentioned a slip, but actually, if you look at it where it's gone, I'm not actually sure it would have gone and slip. If you've got first slip there, that goes between slip and wicketkeeper, because Quinton de Kock's moved that far down leg towards leg side for the natural angle of the ball, and he's nicked it in between. So I think it might have gone in between. It might have looked foolish between first slip and a wicketkeeper.
Just flashing around the faces of the South African fielders right now, who all look slightly dejected. I think if they look back on this game as Rabada is in to Sam Curran, bottom edge, which bounces 2 feet in front of Quinton de Kock, and there is no run. Look at some of the passages of play that have happened here at Boland Park today. One that might well turn out to be significant is that South Africa scored only 37 runs between the 11th and 17th over in a partnership that made treading water look quick as Rabada is in. Oh, he's knocked over Sam Curran. He's bowled him. Rabada hasn't given this one up yet. It's now 3 from 4 deliveries. And Sam Curran, who just tried to deflect that ball down to third man, has instead deflected it off the inside edge into his stumps. And England are 6 down, needing 3 to win.
Yeah, a bit of a nothing shot there from Sam Curran. He didn't move his feet whatsoever. He just tried to guide the ball down with his hands, and he's not sure whether he was expecting the bouncer off Rabada, but he's just got completely stuck on the crease, and ultimately he's back in the sheds. And now, have South Africa got a chance?
You always got a chance.
Always got a chance.
Not over till it's over, is it?
It looked as though Butch, Sam, like everybody else on this surface, his feet got stuck in the crease, not sure the pace of the pitch, and a little under edge on the slow wicket has come to his demise. And what South Africa would give for another wicket here. Rabada goes and bowls Jordan. All of a sudden, England captain 3 from 3 is on the non-striker's end. And he's talking about pressure he wants to put on his team. It's definitely on there.
And this is why I wish he'd bowled the over before, because this situation could have happened 7 balls ago, and suddenly we still need 12. England still need 12 to win. And it's a different game then, because now you've got Jordan in facing 4 balls.
Yep, 4 balls, 3 to win for England. Owen Morgan, 26 not out at the wrong end as far as England are concerned. And Rabada is in to Jordan, who goes slower ball, which...
Come back, Siege, come back!
Morgan, you can hear yelling at CJ to come back for 2. Yeah. Chris Jordan is very, very quick, and he makes it no problem at all. The scores are level. And England are 1 run away from going 2-0 up in this 3-match series.
Come back.
Does well there. Chris Jordan does well to get back, because he slow off the mark. I mean, just on the outside of the thigh pad, slow off the mark, down to fine leg between the wicketkeeper and the fielder at fine leg. We're at 10 yards outside the 30-yard circle. Managed to get a good throw in, but Chris Jordan put on the afterburners, managed to get himself back, and it looked actually he was in quite comfortably.
Yeah, behind the stumps, I think, before they were broken. All the South African fielders are now up inside the circles. Rabada goes into Jordan, who holds a short ball. Rabada's eyes immediately flick to the square leg umpire to check that he's not going to be no-balled and lose the game in that fashion. Sean George says no, it's okay. That's your 1 for the over. So England need 1 from 2 deliveries.
CJ 1, sorry.
A tie is a tie. We don't have a super over should the scores remain level, as Rabada is in once more to Jordan. Jordan scoops it into the leg side. That'll be the game and the series. Chris Jordan has found the boundary at square leg. England have got home, albeit not in the emphatic fashion that they managed at Newlands on Friday evening, but it's another win, another series victory for Owen Morgan in England's T20 kit. And for South Africa, well, more questions really about how reliant they are in terms of runs on the likes of Quentin de Kock and Faf du Plessis, whether or not the bowling attack is quite as potent for them as he would like. But for England, well, more questions answered. Dawid Malan has come out and made a match-winning contribution, 55 from 40 deliveries for him. Owen Morgan, who has designated himself England's finisher in the T20 format, finishes the game as is his wont, and finds himself there at the very end. Dejected looks on the faces of the South Africans, who have once again found themselves wanting against an England white ball outfit at home. And it's not been pretty at times, Kate Cross, but England have got the job done once more.
Yeah, they have, and it almost feels anticlimactic, doesn't it? England were actually a long way away from winning that game with 4 or 5 overs to go. They still needed 60 odd to win. So I think, we can't underestimate the impact that Dawid Malan had on that innings there, and he was the only batter that batted some time and got himself up to a reasonable strike rate. Everyone else, other than arguably Quentin de Kock in the first innings, really struggled. So I think that just goes to show anyone questioning why he is the number one batter in the world. It's because he manages to battle out those tough innings, and it's not always on a road where it's easy to score and easy to hit sixes. He comes in and he does the hard bit at the beginning, and then that allows him to be able to hit those boundaries a little bit more freely as he bats for a longer period of time.
Steve, final word with you. England win again. It's probably another ugly win, you could say, but once more the points go in the right column for them, and more performances from more members of the squad. It's not always the same guys when it comes to England performing.
Absolutely, Butch. And I think when you look at it, if Eoin Morgan said in the first game was a 5 out of 10 performance, well, that's a probably similar number he'll give. And when your team is not performing at its best and everything's crash bang wallop, the best saying you could have in a dressing room is find a way to get over the line. England have done so. I thought Rashid with the ball was absolutely fantastic, and I thought Milan with the bat and Captain Morgan. What has he said? He wants to put pressure on himself to finish games. That's why he's going to bat number 6. He did it for his team today. 2-0 in the series, going into Cape Town again, and England found a way to grind out a win. Sign of a fantastic side.
Yep, a very, very strong outfit indeed, and a very difficult 11 to work your way into. Eoin Morgan will be absolutely delighted once more.